The following program was made for viewers like you. Not those other mooks. They're a bunch of commie-loving, pimple-headed, Birkenstock-wearing zaraza. But not you. You're beautiful. And special. So hit the like and subscribe buttons in ways that display your greatness and well-cultured tastes. The following program is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I'm your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I got a very busy evening tonight. We have a lot of ground to cover. Stuff been happening. RNC convention all day today. I was thinking to myself, why didn't I go to Milwaukee? Why am I not there? Why did I not go? What was the thought process? I'll get back to you when I come up with an answer. I don't have a great answer. Not kidding you. But even contemplating that thought made Tim Burton say, hey, I have to become a member of the following. Wise choice. Wise move on your part there, Thomas. Not Tim. Tim Burton's a different guy. I'm so bad with names. Wise choice, Thomas. Wise choice, Thomas. Welcome to the following, Thomas. The following is not at all a cult type of cult. So, welcome aboard, and God bless you for joining. I have so much to cover. I don't even know where to begin. And what's interesting is less than an hour ago, I was like, what am I going to talk about tonight? And I was like, oh my God, there's all these speeches I really want to check out. I wanted to talk about Glanville. I definitely want to talk about Glanville. We're going to start with Glanville. We're going to start with Glanville. Most of you have been following the saga that's been going on with the judge in Georgia related to the YSL Young Thug case, the RICO charges, and the shenanigans that were happening with respect to the court. We've covered that at length here on this channel, comprehensively and with entertainment. That being said, it seems to have reached a sort of denouement today, sort of yesterday. Didn't get to cover it yesterday, but yeah, it's reached a sort of denouement, at least as with respect to Glanville's relationship with this case, when Judge Glanville was ordered to be recused, removed, out of here, no longer part of the case. I want to look at the decision there. I gave it a quick once over. I haven't read it in detail just yet, to be honest with you, but when I looked at it earlier, I was like, wow, they seem to be going real kid gloves here. This sounds like real kid gloves. And when you consider that the decision's being issued by Judge Rachel Krause, who, according to motion papers brought by Brian Steele, is sort of like almost in cahoots with Glanville, you can understand the kind language and the findings that were assessed by Judge Rachel Krause. She's probably giving the kindest assessment out of anyone while issuing a decision mandating the recusal of Judge Glanville. That being said, let's look at it together so we can actually assess how she breaks this whole thing down without further ado, because there's a lot of different people I want to hear from tonight. I'm going to be checking out different speeches, and I'll be throwing barbs. I'll be throwing barbs or applauding as appropriate, giving you my thoughts as to what I think about what these folks are saying and the pros and cons of having these people say these sorts of things. So that's the show for tonight. Hope you had a good one. It's going to be great. You're going to love this. That is the show for tonight. So without further ado, I bring to you the Judge Glanville decision. Well, the Judge Rachel Krause decision regarding Judge Glanville. Order on motions to recuse Judge Glanville. Here we go. Let's get into it. This case before the court to consider various motions to recuse, including defendant blah, 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 filed June 12th, Bumpus, motion to quash, all these different motions going on. Defendants Jeffrey Williams, motion to disqualify, recuse. The specific facts necessary to determine these recusal motions are well documented in affidavits, court filings, certified transcripts, video recordings available on YouTube, and countless videos commentating about the obscene behavior of Judge Ural Glanville. Having considered the record evidence and applicable case law, the court finds as follows. Now, the findings of the court are very important. Findings of the court, this is the official now. This is an adjudication. Much like when a jury acts as a finder of fact, a court, or when the bench finds it, or the court, that's a judge sitting in the role of the jury as the finder of fact. She is about to lay out a series of facts that she's adjudging. This is what happened, after which she's going to identify the applicable rule of law and apply that law. Now, the fact finding is important in the sense that it almost is impossible to disturb. So whatever facts she adduces that this is the facts that we know, that now becomes cemented in the event that there's some sort of appeal down the road. It's very difficult to change a finding of fact. Are we having problems with volume? Are you guys not hearing me? I just want to be 100%. I'm seeing American Dreamer complaining about my volume. American Dreamer. How is my volume? All right. Fine. Okay. So let's go through the fact finding. These recusal motions arise out of multi-defendant prosecution brought by the Fulton County DA office alleging gang activity and associated crimes. Although there were 28 defendants named in the indictment, only 6 were being tried as of June 7, 2024. Motions to recuse all arise from the same circumstances related to state witness Kenneth Copeland. What? I'm not on Rumble? Is that what the issue is? Really? What? Did Rumble just assume I was late? I'm on Rumble. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Refresh, you guys. Refresh. Oh, hush. All right. We're live on Rumble. All right. What the heck? I am live. All right, the poor Rumble. I feel so bad for those folks. I feel so bad. All right, on June 7, 2024, the state intended to call Kenneth Copeland to testify. Prior to his testimony, counsel for Copeland, Jonathan Melnick, Mr. Melnick appeared and indicated in court that Copeland did not wish to testify and intended to invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Judge Glanville brought Mr. Copeland into court, discussed with him the effect of an immunity order Judge Glanville had entered that granted immunity to Mr. Copeland. Glanville specifically advised Copeland that if he invoked the Fifth Amendment and refused to testify, the state would ask for Copeland to be held in contempt and jailed. Judge Glanville also advised that if asked, Judge Glanville would jail Mr. Copeland for refusing to testify. So pressure already being put on, but this is all still kosher by legal standards. After the discussion, Mr. Copeland spoke to his attorney and indicated he would testify. Once again, Mr. Copeland was asked to specify his age, and instead of answering, he said, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Judge Glanville excused the jury. Get out of here. I need to go harangue this witness here. And then advised Mr. Copeland in open court that he was in contempt and ordered him jailed until Monday, June 10, 2024, at which time Judge Glanville told Mr. Copeland that he would revisit Mr. Copeland's willingness to testify, spend the weekend in the cooler, and we'll see exactly, whether that softens you up a little bit. Although most people think that the cooler would tend to harden you, right? I mean, it's a cooler. Most things get harder in a cooler. That's just the way things work. I mean, that's just physics. But Mr. Melnick spoke to Mr. Copeland and then reiterated to the court that Mr. Copeland still intended to invoke his Fifth Amendment right if called as a witness. So no fly zone, no go. Judge Glanville indicated he would revisit the issue with Mr. Copeland on Monday, June 10, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. and court was adjourned for the day. June 10th rolls around and at approximately 9:10 a.m. Judge Glanville met with counsel for the state, Adrienne Love, standing counsel for Mr. Copeland, Caleb Bumpus. You leave out everyone else? Really, Judge Krause? You leaving everyone else out? Because you got Miss Hilton there. But she comes later, maybe. Meeting took place in Judge Glanville's chambers. Counsel for the trial defendants did not participate in the meeting and were not aware that the meeting was taking place. The transcript reflects that Ms. Love told Judge Glanville that she wanted the meeting to both impress upon Mr. Copeland the risks of refusing to testify and allow Mr. Copeland to ask questions before he testified. Why not do that in front of defense counsel? Ms. Love also expressed concerns to Judge Glanville about Mr. Copeland's representation. Bumpus, Love, and Glanville also discussed the scope and effect of the state's grant of immunity to Mr. Copeland. Copeland was then brought to Judge Glanville's chambers, where he spoke with and asked questions of Ms. Bumpus, Judge Glanville, Simone Hilton, counsel for the state who had joined the meeting. During that time, the state advised Mr. Copeland that he would remain in custody until the conclusion of the trials of all defendants in the case, not just the 6 currently on trial. That right there is probably a bit of a problem. You can't just jail someone indefinitely. I don't know. It just sounds kind of habeas corpus-like. Judge Glanville discussed OCGA 24-5507 with Mr. Copeland and his rights and responsibilities after a grant of immunity. Copeland spoke privately with his standing counsel, the aforementioned Ms. Kayla Bumpus. And then he comes back to the court. He's like, all right, I'll talk. After the meeting, and immediately before Mr. Copeland was brought out to testify, you leave out, wow, so much left out. So much left out. Wow, Judge Krause, so much left out. Like, I don't know. All the stuff about, like, if he said he'll lie and say that they said, well, if you lie, I'm not going to charge you with perjury. You would think that's a highly relevant issue here. You leave that out, Judge Krause? Really? Wow. This is like, it's like written by Judge Glanville's sister here. Are these two married? I don't understand. How do you leave out that the district attorney in front of Judge Glanville said, you can commit perjury, I will not prosecute you. And then he said, well, I'll say I committed the pew deletion. And they said, well, if you do that, then I will come after you for perjury. Like, that part's left out? Really? In your findings of fact? Wow. This is a judge throwing themselves like in front of bullets here for Judge Glanville. This is terrible. What a terrible setup. What a ridiculously scant finding of fact here. This is embarrassing. How do you leave that out? I guess she feels like, oh, I'm giving the relief anyway, so I don't need to make findings of fact about that. So no one's going to be like, no, there should be findings of fact about that. She's trying to cover up the corruption of Judge Glanville here, because this is Judge Glanville. That was his worst moment. That was where he basically he made it clear to Kenneth Copeland that people can lie in his court, and that's totally okay. That's the part which should have him not just removed from this case, but potentially incarcerated. Certainly losing his judgeship. Wow, Judge Krause. Shame on you. If Judge Krause was here, to you, Judge Krause, I say shame. That was wrong. That is wrong. You don't leave that out. You can't leave that out. It's a critical factor here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, well, let's just pretend all that didn't happen as we go forward in the telling of the story. After the meeting, immediately before Mr. Copeland was brought out to testify, defendant Williams' lawyer, Brian Steele, advised the court that he was aware of the in-chambers meeting and that morning. Steele objected to the ex parte meeting, and lengthy colloquy occurred between Mr. Steele and Judge Glanville, in which Judge Glanville inquired how Steele became aware of the chambers meeting. Mr. Steele declined to reveal the sources of information. Judge Glanville held him in contempt, though Mr. Steele was allowed to remain in the courtroom on behalf of his client, defendant Williams. Nothing at all about how he was. He never told him anything. This is ridiculous. Sorry. This is like Stinky Pants job right here. That's what this is. This is just. Can you hear the when I'm reading this? It's like I'm almost picturing the judge typing this up and like pausing every once in a while to swallow a small rodent and have it come down her throat, because this is as sneaky as possible. This is really sneaky. Slowly, like you can actually hear the bones crunching inside the long channel of the judge's snaky throat. It's like, this is ridiculous. Ultimately, Kenneth Copeland did testify on June 10, 2024, later released from custody. This is so gross. This is so gross. There's so many damning facts about what is impossible to dispute. As you said, it's all over friggin' YouTube. And you're not making findings of fact like that. These are findings of fact that could be disturbed. That's how poorly they're developed, and how favorably for Judge Glanville. The next day, Glanville issued an order to show cause, requiring everyone present at the ex parte meeting to appear and show cause. This is why they should not be held in contempt for disclosing information about the ex parte meeting to defense counsel. An amended show cause order, which, he don't mention the fact that he's the one who brought it, which is really weird. An amended show cause order was later entered, setting July 1, 2024 for an in-camera review of the transcript of the ex parte meeting. First motion to recuse followed by Diamante Kendrick. Kendrick's motion seeks to recuse Glanville for his involvement in the allegedly improper and coercive ex parte meeting with the state. June 14, Judge Glanville denied the motion. Glanville determined the recusal motion was timely, supported by an affidavit, and on a cursory review contains assertions of fact to support the allegations of bias and impartiality. Once you have those allegations, he's not supposed to be making determinations on it. It's supposed to go over to another judge. However, Judge Glanville ultimately determined that because there was no way to verify the veracity of the information contained in the affidavit, and there was no actual evidence, which was wow, because I'm not letting you get access to the evidence. That's why there's no actual evidence of the extent of the discussion during the in-chambers meeting. The affidavit was legally insufficient, and the motion to recuse did not require referral to another judge for consideration. All this was just horrific. Essentially, what Judge Glanville was saying in that moment was, I successfully kept you from getting access to information that you should have. Now you don't have that information, even though I already had that information because, I was there. I'm going to pretend there's not enough facts here to support your affidavit. It was more gross behavior by Judge Glanville. Imagine the audacity and hubris of an individual saying, I'm the judge on this case. You're trying to bring a motion here. I'm denying your motion because you don't have enough evidence. Why don't you have the evidence? Because you haven't gotten the transcript. Why don't you have the transcript? Because I'm not letting you have the transcript. What does the transcript say? But I don't have enough evidence here. Well, you have enough evidence in your own brain. If you could remember what happened 10 minutes ago, like literally what happened yesterday, there's your evidence. Unbelievable. June 14, 2020. This guy he's a piece of work. He's a piece of work. Allegan says, Joe, do not go to Wisconsin because you cannot find kosher in Milwaukee. Too much meat, mixing meat and cheese. Possibly the case. There is, I think, meat. I don't think there is kosher food in Milwaukee, though. On June 14th, Caleb Bumpus filed a motion to quash the order show cause and accuse Glanville, get rid of him. Judge Glanville from presiding over any contempt action against Ms. Bumpus results in the alleged disclosure of the ex parte meeting. June 17th, Jeffrey Williams filed his motion to recuse Glanville. Divorced from its hyperbole. Hyperbole? Mr. Williams' motion and supplement also seek to recuse Judge Glanville because of his involvement in the ex parte meeting, which Mr. Williams also alleges was improper and coercive. Divorced from its hyperbole? In other words, let's put aside all his exaggerations. Where's the exaggerations? This is just a joke. You're a joke, Judge Krause. You're a bloody joke. Mr. Williams' motion alleges both actual bias and the appearance of bias because Judge Glanville allegedly participated in the accusatory process when he met with Mr. Copeland, and Judge Glanville became embroiled in a controversy when he held Mr. Williams' lawyer, Brian Steele, in contempt. Angela, whoa, what happened there? Oh my God. Cancel. Okay. On July 1, 2024, a day appointed for the parties to review a redacted transcript of the ex parte meeting, Glanville announced he was releasing the entirety of the transcript of the ex parte meeting and was taking judicial notice of and making a record regarding certain matters associated with the ex parte meeting. Most of what Glanville relayed was a collation of record evidence about the most recent circumstances in the case. Yeah, also pivotal was the friggin' transcript that he kept hitting, which had a lot of embarrassment for Judge Glanville for the ridiculous way he conducted himself during the course of that ex parte meeting. But let's not mention that at all in your findings of fact, Judge Krause. Judge Glanville also explained how he became aware of the state's request for an ex parte meeting. In addressing the circumstances of the contempt against Steele, Glanville explained the court's purpose and concern pursuing information about the security and confidentiality of his chambers, which was obviously ridiculous. Because there's no security. What's the security about a meeting that everyone should have been present at? Glanville advised that he had not instigated investigations to surveillance footage, but had reviewed such footage for timeline and security. What the hell is security? What do you think? There's someone sitting there bugging your room? Glanville then explained his view that ex parte meeting was proper under Georgia law and outlined relevant law that supported his inherent authority to hold such a meeting. Successfully supported it? Is that your finding? I'm doing a finding of fact here. You start, or purportedly. Again, very generous in her assessment. The nature of the generosity here is disgusting. They talk about amongst police how there's a blue wall. This is the black wall. That's what you're seeing here. This is a black wall. What we're reading here is a black wall of security of one judge protecting another judge's fat behind. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. His ridiculously greedy, power-hungry fatness, his lordship. Judge Glanville also questioned defendants' right to be present at the ex parte meeting because the issue and discussion was between state and a witness who was represented by counsel. Why? What? Yeah, that's not a thing. You're not supposed to be meeting with the witness. They're not supposed to be meeting with the witness with you. What is happening here? They're not supposed to be meeting with the witness when the witness is under oath already. After making this record, Glanville announced that the show cause hearing was canceled due to rain. When I say rain, I'm referring rain down from his superiors who said, oh my God, you're canceling that if you want to keep your job or have any prayer of keeping your job. So it was canceled, and the recusal motions filed by Mr. Kendrick, Williams, and Bumpus were being referred for consideration by another judge to another judge in accordance with Uniform Superior Court Rule 25.1 through 25.7. Motion accused were then assigned to this court for consideration. And so far, I'm doing a crap job just based on my findings of fact. Really terrible job. Terrible, terrible, terrible job. Terrible, awful, lousy, snaky, gross, disgusting black wall of shame. Well, let's get to her legal framework. Motions to recuse. Motions to recuse are governed by a specific legal framework outlined in Rule 25 of the Uniform Rules of Superior Court. Parties seeking recusal must file a timely motion supported by an affidavit, clearly stating the facts and reasons for the belief that the bias or prejudice exists. Affidavit must be definite and specific and describe circumstances of extrajudicial conduct or statements which demonstrate either bias in favor of an adverse party or prejudice toward the moving party in particular, or a systematic pattern of prejudicial conduct toward persons similarly situated in the moving party, which would influence the judge and impede or prevent impartiality. Bare conclusions, opinions are not legally sufficient. Okay, we got all that. Yeah, fine. Once such a motion is filed, it is the duty of the assigned judge to temporarily cease to act upon the merits of the matter. So you got to stop what you're doing right away and assess the timeliness and legal sufficiency of the affidavit and alleged facts. If all three criteria are met, the motion is timely, supported by an affidavit, and the facts alleged might warrant recusal. Another judge shall be assigned to hear the motion to recuse. When considering a motion to recuse, the assigned judge should be guided by Rule 2.11 of the Revised Code of Judicial Conduct, which provides judges shall disqualify themselves in any proceeding in which their impartiality might reasonably be questioned. I'm not sure why you need to cite a case like A&M Hospital to cite a rule of Code of Judicial Conduct when that's black letter statute. Why do you need to? Okay. Whatever. The standard is objective from the perspective of a reasonable, fair-minded, and impartial person rather than the affected judge or other interested parties. I will remind you that the judge who's writing this was argued by Brian Steele, is not impartial. She should not be someone who's sitting on this because of the nature of relationship between Judge Glanville and Judge Krause is that they each donated to each other's candidacy when they were running for judge as recently as this year. If a motion to recuse satisfies the three threshold criteria, the assigned judge, quote, must refer the motion for reassignment and may not oppose the motion. So Judge Glanville had no standing to step in the way of this. The judge whose recusal is sought may not respond to the motion or attempt to refute the allegations, which stand denied automatically, no matter how false or even defamatory the judge might know or perceive the allegations to be. Meaning, we don't know why he's actually weighing in here. A judge cannot become actively involved in presenting evidence or argument against the motion seeking his recusal without the defense itself becoming a basis for recusal. Meaning, if you try putting in an opposition, that becomes part of a reason to get you out. You're not supposed to be interceding to try and save your role as judge in the case. Quote, a judge has no interest in sitting on a particular case. At most, his interest lies in protecting his own reputation, which has been besmirched, which has been destroyed over the last month. His efforts at defending himself against the motion to recuse will inevitably create an appearance of partiality. Why do you care about staying on this case so much? One reason is that if he defends himself, he becomes an adversary of the movement for recusal. This adversarial posture may create an antipathy which persists after the motion to recuse is denied. So what this is basically saying is, you know why it is that we don't allow judges to put in opposition? Because now that would literally pit them against the movement. The movement, Brian Steele, Caleb Bumpus, all the other attorneys who are moving for time recused, and he's arguing against them. And then if they lose, if the motion to recuse is denied, they lose, he stays on the case now, and he's going to be overseeing their case going forward. So in order to avoid that, we say, hey, judge, you're not allowed to put in papers to stay in there. It's a logical perspective. Analysis and discussion. All right, let's get into her deep analysis here. There's only 3 more pages left. Don't worry, we're almost done. You thought this was going to be an all-night affair. It ain't. I got movies to watch. Well, not really movies, more like some speeches, interviews to sort of mock and have fun with. But that's what we got. And I got things to do, places to go, people to see. Look at my Cartier, out of control. All right. Glanville had previously announced on the record that the motions were timely and supported by an affidavit, so I can't really overcome that. In transferring the cases to another judge for reconsideration, Judge Glanville necessarily determined that the third criteria was satisfied. What's that? That recusal might be authorized if the facts alleged in the motion were assumed true. Therefore, Glanville was required to refer this motion for reassignment and was prohibited from opposing the motion. It is worth noting that this court agrees generally with Judge Glanville's assessment of the propriety of his ex parte meeting because I'm kissing his ass. Wow. Yeah, you also left out the most egregious parts where he was willing to suborn perjury in his own courtroom. While the meeting could have and perhaps should have taken place in open court, nothing about the fact in the meeting or the substance discussed was inherently improper. Wrong! God, terrible. Awful. This is a cover-up order. The way it's a cover-up order is I'm going to give you the relief that you want, but I'm going to pretend that all of the terrible stuff that Judge Glanville did not happen. But I'm just sort of like, this is a bad appearance here. No. Inexcusable. This is a judge lying to protect, I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it, lying to protect the reputation of Judge Glanville, saying stuff with, I agree with the propriety of the ex parte meeting. Really, he literally was okay, sat there like a schnook, while the DA said, you can lie, we'll let that go. No punishment for lying in his courtroom. And the way she feels like she can get away with it is, well, I'm already giving you the relief. What are you going to do? You're going to appeal? I gave you the relief. You're going to appeal? This is so snaky. It's so snaky because she feels like if I grant your motion, you can't appeal, right? You can't appeal. So now I'm going to do a cover-up for Judge Glanville to protect his job, to protect his reputation, that everything here was totally fine, by basically lying in my findings of fact about how everything here was just hunky-dory. And now who's going to question it? How can anyone question it? You got the relief you wanted. I'm giving you your relief and having him be recused. So all of this is designed purely as a cover-up. If in fact she denied the motion and said no, he's allowed to stay here, then they could appeal and basically point out how ridiculously absurd her findings of fact were and all these different critical elements that she just glossed over as if it never happened. This is snaky work because she knows that this is how she can get away with covering for him, by taking him off and giving them relief they want while pretending nothing terrible happened here. Awful, corrupt. This is corruption. That's what this is. This is corrupt. Gross. However, in his order denying defendant Kendrick's motion in the process of making his record on July 1, 2024, Glanville added facts, provided context, questioned the veracity of allegations, and otherwise explained his decisions and actions and argued why those actions were proper. While it may be appropriate for the judge to disclose information relevant to his potential recusal, such a disclosure must be made in a way that is as objective, dispassionate, and non-argumentative as possible, so the judge is not reasonably perceived as hostile witness or advocate. In presenting his record to the recusal issues and ruling on Kendrick's motion, Glanville evaluated and accepted the truth of his own factual allegations mandating his recusal. This court has no doubt that Judge Glanville can and would continue presiding fairly over this matter. He's beyond reproach. He's beyond reproach that the recusal motions were denied. But the necessity of preserving the public's confidence in the judicial system weighs in favor of excusing Judge Glanville from further handling of this case. Go to hell. You stink. You stink. My God. The odor of mendacity coming from Judge Krause. What the heck is happening in this case? What is happening here? The odor of mendacity from Judge Krause. She should be sanctioned for this order. What a blatant cover-up of another judge on behalf of another judge. Based on the foregoing, the court hereby grants all these motions to recuse. Well, grant the motion to recuse and then deny the motion to quash because now it's moot now. And all further dealings in the above referenced cases amended supplements granted. Clerk shall reassign this case to the court cases according to their procedures. And it was ended up going over to someone named Ayamuka or something like that. What an embarrassment this decision is. Humiliating. Every judge in Superior Court in Fulton County should be humiliated by Judge Krause's blatant cover-up of Judge Glanville. This is gross. This is foul. You did not preserve the dignity of the court. You only made it worse, Judge Krause. You made it worse. You are today's problem. You are. This was terrible. Terrible, blatant cover-up. Yeah, I'm going to give you what you want. The only reason she's giving it, the only reason she's giving them this relief is so that to protect him from further scrutiny. I'm going to give this ridiculous assessment of the facts that paint him in a light that is unfairly generous to him and whitewashes the terribleness here, saying how fair he was and so much propriety, but I'm just going to pretend that we have to worry about the appearance, and that's why I'm taking him off. You're gross. This is so disgusting. Who's this judge? The Honorable Rachel Krause. Not very much honor left in your neck of the woods, Judge Krause. Not very much. Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. Terrible. Just terrible. The judge trying to protect state prosecutors and judge, not sure she understands how this undermines judicial. She figures no one's going to read it. They'll just be like, oh, okay, he's removed. You can't appeal if you get the relief you wanted. They got the relief they wanted. Thank you all for the love and support yesterday. Shout out from Joe. I wouldn't want to be in any other not a cult type of cult. Not at all a cult type of cult. Where else would you be? Okay. I want to see who you guys wanted least. Who'd you want least? I mean, I had a poll. Out of these five speakers, who do you want to hear least? Vivek, 8 minutes. DeSantis, 10 minutes. Haley, 10 minutes. Amber Rose, 5 minutes. Biden interview, 18 minutes. Let's see what we got here. You want to hear from Biden least? Haley got 29. He got 33% of the vote so far. Here are my polling numbers. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Pull the wrong tab. Definitely watching the Biden interview. I kind of don't really care about Haley. I'm not sure we'll make it all the way through Haley. But she sucks. I hate that woman. All right. Where should we start? We're going to start with Amber. Amber Rose. Let's start there. This was last night. A lot of people were freaking out about this. I'm not sure why. But let's hear what she has to say first. If you're unfamiliar with who Amber Rose is, yesterday, I think it was Kathy who was telling me, hey, Amber Rose is speaking now with the RNC, and I'm not going to kid you. I had no idea who Amber Rose was. I don't know who she is. Apparently, she's a social media influencer who has 23 million followers on Instagram, which basically tells me probably probably not something that an Erlich should be following. So I have no shame in the fact that I have no idea who she is. So there you go.
South Philadelphia.
Hello, my name is Amber Rose.
Okay.
I'm a model and entrepreneur.
Am I the only one? Can I just go on record as saying, first and foremost, I don't care that she spoke. I'm not bothered by that at all. Okay? Not bothered by that at all. Quite the contrary, it's probably a shrewd move. It's probably a very shrewd move. I'm just curious. Really, a forehead tat? Like, I don't understand. She's a model who shaved her hair, dyed it blonde, and put a tat across her forehead, which I think says something / I don't understand. I don't understand how someone... Is that really a tattoo? Like that? Wow. Kids today. If the judge reassigned to his balls, they will dismiss case based on Glanville, continue case after motion to accuse. If the judge reassigned to has balls, they'll dismiss the case based on Glanville, continuing case after motion to recuse. We'll see. I think they got to figure out. I think they'll probably spend a couple months trying to catch up and figure out, do we need to start this trial over, or can we pick up from where we're at? Because that's where they're at right now. Or should we dismiss, I guess?
Thank you. But most importantly, I'm a mother. My whole world revolves around providing for my children, keeping them safe, and giving them an opportunity for a better life. That's something that unites all American parents, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, or liberals. We all want a better country for our children.
I like that opening. I like that.
But I'm here tonight to tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump President of the United States. Now, you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician and I don't want to be, but I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump.
You're fake news. That's what she's saying to CNN, ABC, CBS.
I know this because for a long time I believed those lies. So I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse. And I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research.
They don't want to do their research. They don't want people doing their research. They don't want anyone actually investigating their claims. That's the scariest thing to the DNC. Oh my God, someone might actually be vetting the things that we're saying. You automatically don't trust her? So now you're not going to vote for Trump? Who's she targeting? Why is she there? She's there to help encourage the 23 million people who follow her to vote for Trump. She's there to reach out to a demographic that is less than half my age. That's why she's there. And that's important.
I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
It's true.
And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you. Love you too.
You don't really love her. Neither you really love the other.
I never felt more free and more love for my country than I do now. I want to thank my father, who's in the audience tonight, for opening my eyes. He served over 20 years in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, Dad.
There you go, some family value.
I love you, Dad. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. When I met the president and Melania for the first time, he was kind and generous and funny as hell. Very funny. The First Lady was gracious and smart with a smile that will brighten up any room. If you're watching this tonight, you know our country is in trouble. Just like me. When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am.
She's talking in a tone and with a message and a colloquial element to her that is, she just looks very comfortable in a way that not everyone does. She's doing a bang up job. She really is. And talking about how our wallets are all hurting. Yeah, this is exactly the right message.
And when you turn on the news, you are just exhausted. Inflation is out of control. And you know in your heart it was not like this under Donald Trump. My message to you tonight comes from a humble place. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president.
It's an interesting, by the way, this is an interesting lineup that they have sitting there. And I guess like what, in like America Got Talent or whatever, or the X Factor or whatever they call that show. Like they're sitting in those kind of chairs here, right? I mean, I guess it's not X Factor. They're not sitting in those swivel chairs, right? Look at that lineup. Tucker Carlson, Byron Donalds, Donald Trump, Vance Johnson. It's a very interesting lineup. Tucker looks bored out of his mind. Literally falling asleep here. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting. Behind them is Don Jr. and his wife, but it's a really interesting how they seated everyone here.
We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates. Yes.
Okay. Is that the guy who says another one? Is that from the meme? That's what I think. That's the guy. This guy Khalifa. He's from the meme. Another one. Is that what that is? I don't know if that's the name of a song that he wrote, but that's a meme that was really popular like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Another one.
Or, as Trump would say, it's a vote to make America great again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So overall, great speech. Good job. Good job overall. Really good. Very good. I have no problem. So apparently some people on the right are upset that she got to speak. This is stupid. This is stupid. First and foremost, who gets to speak is really meaningless honor that is bestowed upon some people, that you get to speak at the RNC and address the nation in front of Donald Trump. It's an honor. It doesn't hurt anyone that she got to speak, and it's just broadening the tent. And you want that tent to be as big as possible. We gotta get we gotta squeeze a lot more clowns in here, right? So you want as big, you want a big top tent. That's what you want. You want that thing to be as broad as possible. I think this was a very wise move to have her up there. I think it was very, very wise. In fact, one of the ways you know it was wise is look at the impact that it's had on the left. They're freaked out by this. They're freaked out.
Hello.
Because this hurts everything that they believe in, that they, as far as that. I mean, she's a black woman. I mean, just imagine black women turn on the DNC. Will they have anyone left? Will they have? I mean, how many trans people do they have to vote already? How many trans people do you have? So let's hear from the round table here at CNN and how freaked out they are. Freaked out these very independent news agency is.
I think she has some 20-odd million Instagram followers.
23 million Instagram followers. So I just have to say, this stagecraft, the sequencing of this whole moment tonight, this is what Donald Trump does best. He's the producer in chief, him walking out, Lee Greenwood playing. And then first you're hearing from an everyday American talking, but then a social media influencer with 23 million followers who young people are looking at, and young voters are up for grabs this election. Throw in there also, Donald Trump is now a meme everywhere. Best not miss if you're going to shoot the king. Like, this is what is on TikTok. This is what tens of millions of young voters who are not necessarily decided, they don't have longstanding party affiliation, are seeing. He's making a play there. It's very smart. And to be honest, she was one of the most effective communicators we've seen tonight.
I'll admit something. I had no idea who this was.
It's not aimed at you, brother.
So I looked it up, and then I called a friend of mine, and I said, do you know who this is? And they didn't know. Also a political person. But that's the point. They have put someone on the stage who reaches into this whole group of Americans who are not necessarily engaged at all in our politics or in our civics.
Yep.
These kinds of voices, I heard some grousing about this from some of the conservative. This is how you change the composition of the electorate.
Yeah,
Yep.
That was probably the most dangerous speak for the Democratic coalition. That is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent that these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was
Our coalition. Whoops.
a bunker buster right there.
By the way, and it's one of the things we've been talking about, but there are speakers who speak to the room, and there are speakers who speak through the television screen. She speaks through the camera to the audience at home. She's effective in the room.
This is a salient point by Anderson Cooper. This is a salient point.
But when you're yelling into the room, that is not communicating directly through the.
This person is super talented. Okay, like this person knows how to speak plainly and directly, knows how to use the camera, the cadence of it. They got something there.
Yeah, and it really is hard in those big arenas. It's hard not to want to fill up the room. You want to scream and make sure the grandma in the back can hear you. But you're not talking to the 30,000 people there. You're talking to the 30 million people at home. And she was the most effective. You can be heard in the hall, but you're in somebody's living room. She understood that. And I would not be surprised if she doesn't have a political future.
Yeah, you can tell that she's somebody who makes a living communicating with people on the screen, right? She understood how to connect with the camera. Now,
I'm not sure I would trust her with a political future. I'm not saying that. I will say that having her up there to speak at this moment in time in that scenario was a shrewd move. That was a wise move. And people who are complaining about it, not that I know that people, not that I haven't heard anyone complaining about it, but I've heard people talking about people complaining about it, which I don't know if they're making that up or not. I don't understand the idea of complaining about that at all. If there are such people out there, not that I've seen them, but if there are, you're a fool. You're a fool. I'm a very big believer that anyone who's controlling our policy has to be someone who we can trust their track record on policy. There you need to be very selective. But which voices are speaking at the RNC? Sky's the limit. Whatever is going to help get the message out. Get the message out. So some speaker at the RNC? All right. Someone who can effectively deliver a message. That's important. But as far as like, establishing policy, that's a whole different thing.
That's what she does. It's part of why she has 23 million Instagram followers.
The only thing,
but
I'm sorry, go ahead. The only thing I would add to that is not only are you speaking to the people watching, but per some of your well taken criticisms of some of the earlier African American speakers, they're going to cut these things up into little YouTube videos of 10, 30, TikTok videos, all that kind of stuff, and they'll take highlights, and if they have a good digital operation,
It'll be seen by.
it's going to be seen by a lot more people.
I think it was kind of comical. The Republican Party is doing this, making this effort to court Black voters.
This is classic whiny leftist, this Ashley Allison. It's like, listen to her hate.
And I think that Amber Rose was an attempt, and it was a failed attempt. Amber Rose is not where the culture is. It's not the person that Black voters are going to take their political cues
No, they're taking it from you, honey. That's what they are. They're taking it from you.
for. And it just was weird, quite honestly. And so
Weird.
when you talk in the group chats, when you're on Twitter, when you're just having conversations, people are like, what did she say? Like, these are my people. And we're like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Please welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Not too much hate there. Not too much hate. Amber Rose's speech was really good. I enjoyed that she talked about her children and how the economy is hurting them. Yeah. No, she did great. She did great. She was Conway West for 2 years, married to Wiz Khalifa. Populism was everybody. Even need to check out Madeline Brame from tonight. Fire. All right. When they went after Harmeet Dillon for her prayer, that was stupid. She's one of the good ones in the Republican Party and kick-ass law firm. Yeah, that's Ron Coleman's boss. I'm familiar with Harmeet. Harmeet follows me on X. So there you go. I got Harmeet. I've been killing it on X, by the way. You need to follow me at goodlogic.locals.com because I've really been killing it. Like, really been killing it. I was debating with a leftist today who was arguing that Donald Trump is the voice of fighting and that he basically created an atmosphere of violence. And I spent a good 20 minutes taking that argument apart. Calmly. Like, I was not yelling at the guy at all. I said, this is what you need to understand. And I walked them through it. I'm not going to repeat it now. But, yeah, if you have a chance, if you follow me on goodlogic.locals.com, wherever I go on to X, which I expect to be on there a lot more this week, because there's a lot of X spaces, and it's a good opportunity for me to get some exposure, to interact with people from the left, and I happen to enjoy it. So, yeah. I try to find conversations that I feel like I can add something to, as opposed to just jumping in on any topic that I feel is a little bit out of my sweet spot. I highly recommend goodlogic.locals.com. You get notifications at any time I pop up anywhere on any channel on YouTube or Rumble or on X. The most miserable place online is our coof. It has people still afraid of a cough, even though 99%. What are you trying to do to me? What are you trying to do? You want my channel to come tumbling down? There's no medical advice here. There's no medical advice. They are voting for a corpse. There's no. Okay. Let me be 100% clear here, in case some of you are confused. I have no reason to believe that Omega Ranger, as intelligent and insightful as they may be, is a doctor. I am not a doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. Nobody here is giving you medical advice. I don't know what medicine is. Okay? I know nothing about medicine. Okay? Some of you may not realize this. Okay? But what happens is when ortho-Jewish people get sick, so we go out into the forest and we grind up some grains, sprinkle it, and then the rabbi gives a blessing and we're healed, which is not medicine. because we don't know medicine. I don't know anything about medicine. Have you ever heard of any doctor who is Jewish? We know nothing about medicine. We don't understand medicine. We don't understand science. It's all a bunch of heebie-jeebie stuff like that. So there's no medical advice from me. Zero on this channel. You need to talk to your doctor about what type of medicine. YouTube wants me to tell you, and I am, that you need to talk to your doctor about what type of medicine is right for you so that you stay safe at all times. YouTube wants me to tell you that, and I am. Indian not feather are conservative. Okay. Okay. Wait, you think any Jews know anything about medicine? It's not possible. It's not possible. Who ever heard of a Jew knows something about medicine? All right, where are we going next? Matt Brooks of the RJC spent his whole speech stumping for Israel today at the RNC. Never have I ever felt like I've seen token Jew so hard in my life. Yeah. Biden has Destiny and Harry Sisson, and Destiny is insane. Watch him on Piers Morgan. Dude lost his mind about attack on Trump. He's crazy. He's crazy. I was listening to, yesterday he was on X. I was listening to him on X debating with Elon. Dude is insane. Insane. And he admitted that he will lie. He will lie to say something that will get him more engagement. Whatever is going to get him more engagement. Why? So that more people will listen to him and that he can spread his voice further. Who's believing you, though? It's so stupid. Today I actually was like following. I was like, you admitted yesterday that you will lie for engagement. Why would anyone still believe you? And I plan on writing that a lot more on his timeline. You probably already answered, sorry, but could you give some thoughts? Was January 6th an insurrection? No, it's not insurrection. No, it's not an insurrection. No. There was no attempt to take over the government. No one engages in insurrection without weapons. Most people went in there were not armed and not violent. It was a riot. It was a siege of the Capitol. There was no intent to take over government, which is what insurrection is. We're going to take over the government. Ridiculous. No, it was not. Why a new VP? Because Mike Pence was terrible. Mike Pence is terrible in every way, shape, and form. Terrible, awful, lousy. Guy is a neocon who wants to start a ton of new wars, had zero loyalty to Trump, and is basically sitting here saying, like, oh, this is what the inner party wants me to say. So, no, he's gone. Why no few Trump's admins support him? I wish I could call. Thanks, stay great. Why no or few Trump's admins support him? Are you saying, like, why so many people like who work for him hate him? Oh, he's definitely a nightmare boss. He's a nightmare boss, I'm sure. I'm sure he's a disaster as a boss because because he can be erratic at times. I think that it works for him. It worked effectively for him. But I'm sure he's not a fun person to be around as your boss on a day-by-day basis, even though, frankly, Michael Cohen loved him for like 8 years before he like turned on him. He only turned on him when he went to jail. But he seems to me like a guy who's like, I want you to get this thing done right now, and he can be kind of difficult. I'm sure he can be on a day-to-day personal level. I'm sure he can be very difficult. I said right now, like I'd be terrified if he hired me like as a lawyer for him, would I take it? Yeah. Would I be dreading it? Totally. I'd be like, how do I walk away from this? It's freaking Donald Trump. But yeah, he's the sort of person who he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to be Donald Trump. So yeah, what I would tell you about this, and what I've said many times about Donald Trump is this. He's a very, very flawed person. Even though he got shot and people looking at him like, he survived that and came up screaming, fight, 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 and looked badass. The bottom line is on a day-by-day basis, historically, maybe he's mellowed over the last couple of years as he got older. Some people do. Maybe he's mellowed somewhat. I don't know. Historically, he's been kind of an insecure narcissist You've got to put a big giant T on, golden T on everything. So he comes across as being on a personal level, being insecure. He also happens to be phenomenal at being a president, by and large. His policies are really, really good. So, unfortunately, the character traits that make someone a good human being do not necessarily translate into being a good president. I give the example, the exact opposite of Donald Trump, which is President John Adams, who as a human being was a remarkable human being, phenomenal human being, terrible president. Some people are not great people, but great at the job of being president, and some people are great people who are not good at being the job president. And then you have the rare people who fit on both sides, where you have, Washington seemed to be a great president and great person, and Biden, who's a terrible person and terrible president. But people tend to conflate those two as if they're necessarily related to each other when they're really not. They're really not related to each other. Whoa, that's what I said. Sorry, that was from Melanie. So yeah, as far as the question you have to ask yourself though is why are you voting for someone? Is because they are because their moral character, or because their capacity to get the job done. So let me jump to that over there. What you got here, Melanie? Love your show. I want a real person to be my president. And that's the endearing part to his charm. Because even though he can be insecure, he can be funny. He has personality. And he's, very comfortable sharing that. He knows how to play to a crowd. So he's a very interesting figure in that way. He's a really interesting figure in that way. Because he comes across as someone you'd love to hang out and grab a beer with him. But he does not come across to me as someone who I'd be like, I want to entrust I want him watching my kids. I definitely wouldn't want my kids to look at him as a role model. So I think I answered all your question there, right? Your doctor is Jewish. That cannot be. There's no such thing as a Jewish doctor. Trump is so lucky it missed. I imagine what a disaster we could have had on our hands if Baldwin was filming a Western nearby. You brought this up, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I will. Someone share this with me. Let me find the right message. Someone share with me. I did not respond to it. A great clip. Will you share it with me? Nathan sent me something. Nope. Wasn't you? Was it you? Nope. There's an aerial that showed. Oh, while I'm here, I know Attorney General Andrew Bailey filed an amicus brief to try and get the New York verdict overturned against Trump. I don't think it's going to have any relationship to my application to having his thing, because I don't think it's going to be overturned so fast. Where is it? Why don't I see it? What's it? Damn it. I should have put it aside. Where do I see it? Oh, I know where I saw it a second time. Give me a moment. There it is. So they're watching it over here on Tim Pool, and I was like, I saw this on X, and I forgot to save it. You have to watch this aerial view of watching the bullet, the difference in where the bullet ended up going versus where it was. Check this out. This is mind-blowing. I said yesterday what a miracle this was. They're looking here at this little breakdown of the path of the bullet and where it should have basically gone through his eye, but yet somehow didn't.
Point video. Everyone's got to see it. This is it says at point con.
You know what? Let me pull up Alchemist Jedi. We'll do it that way because I can't listen to him talk. No offense, Tim. No offense, Tim. There it is. Look at this. Mind-blowing.
Take a look what happened.
Boom. He moves right there. He's saying the word happened. Unbelievable. There's an aerial of like where his head is positioned, how his head basically turned. Look at how late he moves his head here. Where if he doesn't move his head, he's gone. Just gone. I mean, look at the path of that bullet. This is astonishing.
Take a look what
what happened. Boom, right there. I'm in position that you can shoot now. And how much longer after that? Boom. There it is. More bullets whizzing by him.
Look what happened.
Unbelievable. That's how, I mean, can you imagine the anarchy that we would have had if he didn't turn his head like that? I know we talked about it yesterday, but this aerial really. Just a freaking miracle. Thank God. Whew. DMU appears Morgan interview included Destiny. Destiny no longer gets engagement from me. I will ignore him. Yeah, I wish everyone would ignore him. He admitted that he would lie. Wow, you really do lose your mind when you watch strangers sleep with your wife. Vouches just like him. It's crazy. The Big Ten of conservatives need to bring in all who want traditional family values, including Indian, Jew, Christian, Muslim, as long as we respect freedom of religion. Here, 100% agree with that. He's making a January 6th video and would love you to review it. I used Destiny's 3 questions and I figured you'd have insight. Thanks as always. You're making a January 6th vid? I assume you're making it. You're saying you're making it. You'd love for me to review it. Sure. Yeah, I mean, feel free to send it to me at goodlogic@gmail.com. Anyone who wants to email me, you can email me. I don't check it like every day, but you can email me at goodlogic@gmail.com. We are all flawed. That's true. You're saying that I was pointing out Trump's flaws. Well, the reason I was pointing out his flaws is to point out to you that I don't look at him as some sort of mythical figure. I don't look at him as a mythical figure at all. I just happen to recognize that he happens to have a unique set of skills that work well to be an effective president. I've shared the story where he basically scared the bejesus out of the Taliban when he sat down and met with them. And he said, we're going to be pulling out. And if any of our soldiers get hurt, you will die. And then hands him a satellite photo of the guy's own house. So we're going to pull out, but make sure no one gets hurt. Because if anybody gets hurt, you will die. Here's a satellite, hands him a satellite photo of his house and walks out. I mean, who the hell wouldn't want a world leader like that? Why would you not want a world leader like that? That's how you deal with the terrorists. You tell me for a second, if he was in power, that those 13 Marines would be gone now? 11 Marines and those 13 members of our armed forces would be gone now? 38 injured? No way. No way. Zero chance. They're all dead because of Biden. Every one of them is dead because of Biden. So, yeah, that's having an effective leader. Does that make him a nice person? No, it doesn't. Quite the contrary. Sometimes you want the guy who can be kind of a dick in your corner. That's kind of like, guy's kind of a jerk, and that's kind of a good thing when he's your world leader. And he could be nice, and he can be polite, and he can be, he can be very kind, and he can be gruff. And more often than not, he's going to guess right on which attitude to bring into that's appropriate for the situation. Not always. Not always. I spoke to my doctor. He said I got to touch grass and wear a red hat. Thanks for the advice. 6321547. Nice. Oh, I spoke to my doctor. Oh, it's Trump voice. Spoke to my doctor. He said I got to touch grass, wear a red hat. Thanks for the advice, sir. 63215. 63215. 63215. 47. Make doctors great again. That's pretty funny, Omega. Honorable Doctor, we're going to have a leadership class during the mega celebration of 100K. Can we preview the new tracksuits and custom Kool-Aid flavors? Yes. I know I need to work on that. What's the scoop with this Amber Rose person in the RNC? Never heard before today. Matt Walsh seems to have a strong opinion. Is he the one who was whining about it? Is he the one? I'm not really a huge fan of Matt Walsh, but let's see what it's. X.com. Is he the one who was whining about it? Oh, thanks for trying to share with me, Nathan. No. She's a reformed conservative, also running a sale on her OnlyFans, which is still active at this very moment. Makes sense. I'm obviously the crazy one here. It's totally awesome to have RNC speakers using their speeches as a marketing tool for their porn business. What are you talking about? She didn't say anything about OnlyFans. Who cares? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know what the hell Matt Walsh is on about. So he's mad that Amber Rose, I didn't even know she was on OnlyFans until I found this post here. All right. Reform consider also kind of, okay. Dumb. So dumb. So dumb. The RNC is not where is not where you're teaching your kids values. The RNC is designed to help win an election. You don't like her, so don't watch her content. Don't follow her on Instagram or OnlyFans, wherever the heck she is. You know, that's your prerogative. If you're sitting here saying that the RNC has to be about values that you identify with, that's how you win absolutely no elections. Not on a federal level. I don't know what you're thinking. It's dumb, Matt. It's dumb. Doesn't make any sense. You're not selling out your values by letting someone get up there speak, especially when they're not talking about anything that is against your values. Everything that she was saying there was precisely consistent with ideologies and perspectives you agree with. So you don't like the person? Stop it. Just stop it. Stop it, Matt Walsh. You get me annoyed. I guess some people were complaining about her. It's dumb. Initially, I was saying it was bad shooting fundamentals. After seeing this on Timcast, I can say it's an even bigger miracle he actually dodged it. Literally dodging. Trump the bullet dodger. Destiny making one, I'm not that smart. Oh, okay. You're saying regarding the January 6th video? Oh, those were the 3 questions you asked me earlier? Oh, so that's why I answered your questions. That was your 3 questions. Got it. So you asked me 3 questions, and then you said he's making a J6 video, and then you used Destiny's 3 questions. So there you go. Careful with that X clickbait through Chief. And yeah, the Pierce interview is crazy, far worse than the Adrian space yesterday. Trump raised only good, healthy kids who adore him. And you got to give him credit for that. That ain't easy. Modern Pharisee, maybe. Not today. Not today, Kimosabe. All right. A lot more speeches that I wanted to check out. I want to see. I don't know. You want to see him. If you're going to watch him, you probably want to watch him with me. Should I talk to you about Joe Scarborough being all miffed that he was taken off the air? Should we talk about that? Do you guys want me to talk about that? Should I talk about that? I got other stuff to cover. There was one thing I wanted to share with you. A lot of people are outraged by this. I didn't mention this. They should have. Where is it? A lot of people are outraged that RFK seemed to leak a phone call that he had with President Trump. This is a phone call. This is RFK Jr. on the phone with Donald Trump being recorded, and this leaked to the public, which apparently they're trying to scrub it now, but they're going to have to scrub it from my channel if they're going to do it. So this is his videographer filming him talking on speakerphone with Donald Trump. How do I boost this? I'm going to boost this up.
Something's wrong with that whole system. I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. And, it's a doctor issue. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that is like 38 different vaccines.
No medical advice here. Donald Trump's not a doctor. RFK is not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. There's no medical advice on this show.
And it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's this massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it
radically.
And then you hear
starting to change radically.
Right? But you and I talked about that a lot.
I was over talking.
To change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right?
I've seen it too many times. And then you say it doesn't have an impact. It doesn't. That's what they say. I don't know.
But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And anyway, I would love you to do something. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. He was very nice, actually. He called me. And he said, how did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people say, if I was looking straight on, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right?
He was turning his head to show a chart on all the people pouring into the country. That's why he was turning his head.
But I just turned my head to show the chart, and something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going around. What do they call that? An AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
So, yeah. That was not supposed to leak, according to RFK. As it was reported that RFK was very upset with his videographer. When President Trump called me, I was taping with an in-house videographer. I should have ordered the videographer to stop recording immediately. I'm mortified that this was posted. I apologize to the president. So it sounds as if Trump was trying to offer him some sort of job or role and urging him to drop out of the campaign. That's what I would assume is what was happening there, where he's saying, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. So come on, let's just, let's wrap it up here. I'll give you a position. I'll make you maybe attorney general or something. What do you want? And some people are saying, honestly, I lost all respect for him for leaking this. Why would anyone want him in his cabinet? It is embarrassing for RFK Jr. What do you guys think? It's poor form. It's poor form. I can respect the fact that he apologized, and that he's trying to do right for it. People screw up. It happens. It happens, but that should not have been leaked. But I will add this one thought. A lot of people question the impact that RFK will have on this election. Who is he more likely to eat from, Trump or Biden? We've seen over the last two elections that third-party candidates have had a significant impact on the outcome. And the question is, who is RFK likely to eat from? Many people look at him like he's a Democrat. Okay. So who's likely to eat from Democrats who are dissatisfied with Biden? On the other hand, he's populist. Maybe some populists who are frustrated and don't like Trump for his rhetoric would say, you know what, I can sign up. And I think that Trump is too abusive and too gruff, and I'm going to go with RFK instead. I'm very confused as to what the numbers reveal as to. I'd be actually curious. I'm going to try looking into that. Like, with him in the race, what the split is between Biden and Trump versus with him out of the race. Like, who? I know right now Trump is leading, and it probably depends on the state as to like the impact that it has. But I'm very curious to see who he's eating from. Excuse me. The fact that Trump is courting RFK is obviously indicative of the fact that there must be some concern about Kennedy eating from him. And because if he was confident that Kennedy was going to be eating exclusively from Biden, he'd be like, "I'm fine with Kennedy staying there." So, and maybe he feels like the Kennedy supporters will come along if Kennedy gives Trump an official endorsement. And that's a great segue for me to cover all these other former opponents of Trump who were endorsing him tonight. It's a perfect way for me to segue to that. So let's do that right now. Nope, not this one. Not this one. There we go. Let's start. Let's start with the one I like the most. And that's this guy.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's good to be back in Milwaukee.
I've never heard any of these speeches yet. So tonight, on the second night of the RNC convention, Trump's three primary opponents. Primary opponents. I actually said that sentence. Trump's main three primary opponents: Vivek, Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis, all gave their endorsements to Trump and encouraged people to vote for him. So we're gonna be checking out their endorsements and how they went. Who would think injecting 5 to 10 times? What? Oh my gosh! There's no medical advice here. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? There's no medical advice here. I don't know anything about 5 to 10 times anything. Oh my gosh. Barnes thinks he was a strategic leak. They were talking all child, like telling people no, he's for looking into without having. I'm not even using that word anymore. I'm not even using that word. Let me tell you, once bitten, twice shy, and I'm twice bitten, so I'm like 4 times shy. I think that math works.
This time last year, I was the candidate for U.S. president, and I'm proud to say that I achieved the impossible, which is that most of you actually know how to say my name by now. So thank you for that.
So good.
It's good to be back. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis right now. Faith, patriotism, hard work, and family have disappeared, only to be replaced by race, gender, sexuality, and climate. But we're not going to win this election just by criticizing the other side. We're going to win this by standing for our own vision of who we really are. What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions.
Quoting Martin Luther King. That's going to work well for you. RFK is a non-factor after Saturday and Van's pick. Trump is just trying to run up the score at this point by bringing RFK into the fold. I agree with you. Trump is on a legendary course right now, but things can derail. You never know. It's a long way away. A lot can happen. There's still 3.5 more months. If elections tomorrow, yeah, I think he runs away with it. Yeah. Schmuck. What are you doing?
It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. Thank you. It means the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state.
Get rid
These
of
are
Chevron.
not black ideas or
we
white
did.
ideas. They are not even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They are American ideas that we fought a revolution to secure.
Yes.
And the man who will revive these ideals in the United States of America is your next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
There you go.
If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to reignite the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. But there is one more reason I'm going to ask you to vote Trump, and it's the most important one. It's the one the media won't talk about, but it's the truth. Donald Trump is the president who will actually unite this country, not through empty words, but through action. Because you know what? Success is unifying.
Wouldn't that be ironic if he's the guy who unites the country? Wouldn't that be amazing? He's actually in a position to play that role more than anyone. Yeah, legacy media is going to try and make him stumble from that role by trying to twist his words, and that's part of what I was talking about in my X space earlier today, about how they continually will twist his words into the worst way possible. But it's true that success does breed happiness, which breeds contentment. I think that if we start seeing this swell of people voting for him, recognizing the upside of Donald Trump, I think that could be that he has potential to be a unifying force.
Excellence is unifying. That's who we are as Americans. That's who we've always been. To those of you watching this at home tonight, I'd like to deliver a message that the media doesn't want you to hear from the Republican Party. Our message to Black Americans is this: the media has tried to convince you for decades that Republicans don't care about your communities, but we do. We want for you what we want for every American: safe neighborhoods, clean streets, good jobs, a better life for your children, and a justice system that treats everyone equally, regardless of your skin color and regardless of your political beliefs. Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this: you're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children
Totally
in America.
legal immigration.
But our message to illegal immigrants is also this: we will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law.
There you go. There you go.
Our message to millennials.
I want to point out to you that the messaging that I think these speakers are giving, I think they're directed. This is the topic we want you to hit on. And assuming that to be the case, what we've seen from Amber Rose, where she's talking about, around the kitchen table, that's going to resonate with Black women. That's likely to resonate with people with young people. His messaging, where he is the child of immigrants, saying, you who are here as legal immigrants, God bless you. Those of you who are illegal, we need to send you back. We need to send you back. That is coming from him. It's much better than coming from J.D. Vance or from Ron DeSantis or from Nikki Haley. I know Nikki Haley is technically Native American, but yeah, coming from him, demographics-wise, it's a good choice. It's good. It's well thought out.
Speaking as one myself, yes, it's true. our government sold us a false bill of goods with the Iraq War and the 2008 financial crisis, loading up our national debt that falls on our generation's shoulders, telling us that if we took out college loans, we'd somehow get a head start on the American dream when it hasn't worked out that way. But we can't just be cynical about our country, because the United States of America is still the last best hope that we have, and we deserve a better class of politician, one who actually tells us the truth, even if it comes with some mean tweets from time to time.
I'm going to tell you something. I like his messaging. I like what he says a lot. I think he's a brilliant guy. I do. One suggestion, if he's watching my review right now, one suggestion I would make to you, Vivek, is you're always at 11. You're always at 11. You're never at 5. Sometimes you dip down to 10, 9.5. But everything is just like, this is the most important thing you've ever heard before, is how he's presenting it. And I think that sometimes you sort of need to calm down and build up. I think he'll be more effective that way. Now, he's there in front of tens of thousands of people, whatever it is that's filling the arena there. So I understand he's amped up and he feels like this is his moment. I'm simply saying, if you want to be a little more effective, and he is very effective, one suggestion I would make is every once in a while, just sort of slow the cadence, lower the volume, and talk to the camera like you're having a heart-to-heart with the camera. And he does that on the when he was on the campaign tour. He would do that all the time. It's way more engaging as opposed to like shouting in your face all the time. And I'm saying this completely constructively because I'm a big fan of him. I am. Vivek thinks that RFK Jr. would be a good fit for head of Health and Human Services, overseeing NIH, CDC, FDA, and he has Trump's ear. Trump's ear. I see what you did there. I see what you did. Yeah, I want to see him as chief of staff. Oh, RFK? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can put him anywhere there. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I would agree with Trump, with Vivek on that.
And our message to Gen Z is this: you're going to be the generation that actually saves this country. You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative. Say you want to get married, have kids, teach them to believe in God and pledge allegiance to their country. Because you know what? Fear has been infectious in this country, but courage can be contagious too. That too is what it means to be an American. And you know what? If you're at home and you disagree with everything I just said, our message to you is this: we will still defend to the death your right to say it, because that is who we are as Americans. We are the country where we can disagree like hell and still get together at the dinner table at the end of it. That is the America I know. That is the America we miss. We do not have to be ancient Rome. We don't have to be this nation in decline. We can still be a nation in our ascent. A nation whose best days, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, a nation whose best days are actually still ahead of us. Still on our way to that shining city on a hill, that country where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, that you will still get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will revive this November when we send Donald J. Trump back to the White House. Thank you all. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So there you go. That was Vivek. Like I said, he's always at 11. He's always at 11. And I'm being hypercritical because, like I said, I love his policies. I love his brilliance. I think the guy is a huge asset. The biggest, perhaps arguably the biggest asset that Donald Trump has in his second term compared to his first. Okay? That's how much respect I have for Vivek. I have a lot of respect. This guy's earned a lot of my respect over the past year. A lot of my respect. And I know that he obviously has political ambitions going forward for 28. So I'm just saying, cool, a little bit, just easy. Build to those, to the climax. It's interesting to call RFK a day after what happened. Maybe he thought RFK might relate to what happened. I don't know. Maybe. I think RFK now is getting Secret Service. That's what I heard. Trump said acceptance speech will be about unity. Hopefully. That'd be great. Just remember, I'm still working to get you sub 100K. Just need 2K to join me. Keep Joe humble like Job. Yeah, thank you so much. Van Jones said that Amber Rose's speech yesterday was most dangerous for the Democratic Party. I actually played that. It came late. I appreciate that. But yeah, I already played that. I played Van Jones saying that. I played Amber Rose's speech, and I played Van Jones' reaction to it because he was not happy. He was very bothered by it. It was funny to see. What we got there? All right, let's hear from the queen of the queen of war, goddess of war. Is there a goddess of war? Goddess of war. Let's do it. We have to get out of the way. Let's just do it.
My fellow.
I guess Chris Christie either didn't make it or they were worried about the stage supporting him. But yeah, I don't think Chris Christie spoke tonight.
Republicans. President Trump asked me to speak to this convention in the name of unity. It was a gracious invitation, and I was happy to accept.
There's something about her speaking style which always makes you feel like it's like grating. It's something, I don't know. And I was happy to accept. It just sounds so planned. It sounds so pre-written. Everything about her just seems like it sounds like she's reading from a teleprompter at all times. As if she said this speech 400 times in a mirror, if she doesn't have a teleprompter in front of her.
I'll start by making one thing perfectly clear.
Perfectly clear.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
And I think she had said that she would never endorse him, which is why this is, and I guess she did have a certain percentage of Republicans who were supporting her. So big tent, bring all the clowns in, all the clowns. We want the clowns. We want the clowns. Give us your vote, clowns. We want the clowns, even the Warhol clowns.
Our country is at a critical moment. We have a choice to make. For more than a year, I said a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for President Kamala Harris. After seeing the debate, everyone knows it's true. If we have 4 more years of Biden or a single day of Harris, our country will be badly worse off. For the sake of our nation, we have to go with Donald Trump.
That doesn't sound like an endorsement. That doesn't, I mean, okay, I guess. Like he doesn't suck like Biden. That's essentially what she just said. Definitely better than Harris. We have to. We have no other choice.
But there's more to it than that.
I like the elephant hat.
We should.
You guys see that guy? That was great. Look at this guy. That is great. That is so good. Where'd I get me one of those? That is really funny. Oh my God. I wish Nikki Haley was wearing one of those right now.
But there's more to it than that. We should acknowledge that there are some Americans who don't agree with Donald Trump 100% of the time. I happen to know some of them. And I want to speak to them tonight. My message to them is simple. You don't have to agree with Trump 100% of the time to vote for it. Take it from me. I haven't always agreed with President Trump. But we agree more often than we disagree. We agree on.
This really is the "he sucks less" speech. This is what her speech is. A pre-written "he sucks less." God. Instead of going through that, why don't you just list? I guess she's about to list off the things they agree on. And just say, "Here's why I'm voting for him. Here's why you should vote for him," and just list it off instead of going through the whole thing. Oh, he did get him Secret Service protection. Okay, that's what I thought. Finally. Most powerful speaker was a black lady from New York City whose son's killers were released by Alvin Bragg. Someone mentioned to me that I need to pull that up. What was her name? Brame? I had it here somewhere. I'm going to try and find it. Madeline Brame. I'll pull that up shortly. I'll throw into the next.
Keeping America strong. We agree on keeping America safe. And we agree that Democrats have moved so far to the left that they're putting our freedoms in danger.
Be humble like Job.
I'm here tonight because we have a country to save.
Oh, not Native American. She's actually Indian. Is that what you were saying? I wasn't sure. If you tell me Nimrata, I don't know if Nimrata is Native American or Indian. I don't know. Nimrata Randawa. I guess that's not Randawa. Sounds kind of Indian. As soon as we're on Masterwork can speak smoother than that and dodge incoming uprange. Yeah, well.
And a unified
There's no war
Republican
you can
Party
find that she
is
won't love.
essential for saving her. For those who have some doubts about President Trump, I want to tell you a few things about the commander-in-chief I know and worked with. As ambassador to the United Nations, I had a front row seat to his national security policies. We sure could use those again.
Okay.
Think about it. When Barack Obama was president, Vladimir Putin invaded Crimea. With Joe Biden as president, Putin invaded all of Ukraine. But when Donald Trump was president, Putin did nothing. No invasions.
Yeah, because he believes
No invasion.
he believes in strength through force, not that you use the force, you just flex it. That's what he believes in, as opposed to Nikki, who believes in bombing everybody.
No wars. That was no accident. Putin didn't attack Ukraine because he knew Donald Trump was tough. A strong president doesn't start wars. A strong president prevents wars.
Then why were you saying you were going to invade everywhere? Why? Why? And what she just said was completely correct, and it's why she seemed to abandon that throughout her campaign. Abandoned it. Which, if you have to start wars, that means you're actually weak. You're not respected. That's why you have to go to war. The toughest kid, no one messes with the toughest kid in the class. He never has to get into a fight because everyone just knows, all right, I'm not messing with that guy. I'm not messing with that guy. It's the ones who are smaller and weaker who are constantly needing to prove themselves and trying to blast everyone.
Then look at the Middle East. Every problem in that part of the world can be laid at the feet of Iran. The dictators who chant death to America are the bankrollers and weapons suppliers for Hamas and Hezbollah. They're behind the barbaric massacres and the hostage taking. Once again, compare Trump and Biden. Trump got us out of the insane Iran nuclear deal. He imposed the toughest sanctions ever on Iran. And he eliminated the arch terrorist Qasem Soleimani.
In case you missed it, by the way, there are reports that Iran is looking to assassinate Trump because of his elimination of Qasem Soleimani. The FBI has reported that they have intelligence reports, and they've had reports for a while now, that Iran is looking to put a hit on him because of Soleimani. They also say that the attempted hit by Thomas Crooks does not seem related to that at all. It does make you question how it is that they had such poor defense around him on Saturday, when they not only should have amazing protection around him 24/7 for the rest of his life, but all the more so when they recognize that Iran is looking to put a hit on him. You would think like, oh my gosh, whatever level security we have, let's go to level 10. That's what you would think if there was actually this has led people to speculate about the flaws in the Secret Service's security and their failure to stop crooks from even reaching the roof. I don't want to engage in conspiracy theory about how crooks got on that roof. I just said roof like a Chicagoan. On that roof. I don't want to engage in conspiracy theories. I wish my government would make it harder for me to question, to engage in conspiracy thinking. Because it's very, very weird to me. I have a lot of questions. There's a guy at Muse on Twitter who shared, I'll share with you this. His Twitter name is Muse. He shared yesterday. He tweets a lot. Got 340,000 followers. So he shared that out also yesterday. Divine Intervention. How did he get that? It's interesting. So he shared the bubble, the layout of the bubble that was being protected by Secret Service. This poor woman. I feel bad for her. Everyone's sharing these memes of her. I'm gonna keep looking. I'm gonna keep going. I recommend following him. He has a lot of good content. And it looks like a Pac-Man. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an image of a Pac-Man on a screen, in a picture. Lord, he tweets a lot. Did I share it? It's possible. Let's see if I shared this. It's possible I shared it with someone early, with Diligent Denizen earlier today. Let me check that out. No. There it is. This is the bubble around protecting Trump. Okay? Shaped like a Pac-Man. And the area excluded from the bubble right here, 137 yards away, is where Crooks took his shot from. Out of all this area, you think this part up here by where it says Butler Farm Grounds, Farm Showgrounds, any area there that you have a clear shot? No. If you're someone who's looking to harm the speaker here on the stage in the center of the where would you go? You want to find somewhere that has height and has a clear line of sight. I mean, this is something, if you played PUBG for 10 minutes, you know. How it is that there's a Pac-Man shaped thing here that specifically cuts out, assuming this is true. I don't know that this is the actual security bubble that was laid out, but this is the Secret Service security bubble that people are alleging is how things were laid out on the day of the shooting. How the heck would you cut out the prime spot for a sniper? That's the area we're not going to cover. We're going to cover everything but that. We'll cover the water over here. We need to know what, we're going to look for all the people who are snorkeling under the water, make sure that they're not going to take a shot from below. Let's go out to the tree line over here. Okay, I guess someone could climb a tree. I mean, what are they doing? What the hell are they doing? This is the Secret Service security bubble. Assuming this is true, I don't know it's true. This is what Amuse is reporting as being. I don't know what his. I'm not sure what his source is. But if this is true, and this guy was here in the closest spot and perfect vantage point, tell me how do you avoid engaging in conspiracy theory thinking? How do you avoid it? And thinking like, why would they do that unless they were looking to give someone an opportunity to do harm? They know that Iran has put out a hit on him, and you leave out the prime spot. That's the area we're not. Let's all turn our backs on that spot. What the heck is happening here? What is happening? I saw this picture. I was like, I can't even believe this. I can't even believe it. And again, I'm not saying that there was inside help that Crooks had. How is this not incompetence? I mean, just outright incompetence. 137 yards away. We heard yesterday, snipers start warming up at 450 yards away, 3 times as far. How is this the whole bubble? Why is this the whole bubble? I don't understand what that means. You don't have this tower up here? This tower looks like it's like all of 200 yards away. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have a clear line of sight. Maybe because of the trees. I don't know. It's possible the trees block the line of sight. I don't know. This is your bubble? I don't understand how is this your bubble? If this is accurate, it's horrifying. Horrifying. And it makes if I learn that this is accurate, and again, I don't know that it is. If I learn that this is indeed accurate, I'm going to sit here saying, I'm sorry, this is someone who wants to see him get who wants to give a sniper a clear shot. Someone at the top. And I would have very, very, if I was overseeing the investigation, I would very strong questions for how you set up your Secret Service security bubble. What made you reach the conclusions that this is proper protection of a guy who Iran wants to take out and is potentially our next president? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but again, Joe, you're dead wrong. Putin was afraid of Trump because he knows he'll use force. Threats don't work if they aren't real. Denying that is fancy. Did I say empty threats? Did I say empty threats? No, I didn't say empty threats. What I'm saying is if people know that you will actually pull the trigger, then you don't need to pull the trigger. But Haley over here, she wants to pull the trigger every 10 seconds and in every location that the mood strikes her. I don't like Nikki, but she's being a team player. Her job is to convince the neocons to vote Trump. They voted Biden last election. Perhaps they did. I don't know that they did. Maybe. Notice water tower outside Pac-Man. Yeah, I pointed to the water tower. But I think there might have been a line of trees in the way there. Don't be naive, Joey. He was recruited, Pac-Man or no. I don't want to jump to that conclusion. Like I don't start with a conspiracy perspective, but I see facts. I can't ignore facts and say, what the hell? That's weird. That doesn't make sense.
Iran was too weak to start any wars. They knew Trump meant business and they were afraid.
Almost done.
And then there's Joe Biden.
You got 5 more minutes left.
He lifted the sanctions. He begged them to get back into the nuclear deal. He surrendered in Afghanistan. He sent every possible sign of weakness. Even now, while Hamas is still holding Americans hostage, Biden is pressuring Israel instead of the terrorists. Between Israel and Hamas, Donald Trump is clear about who is our friend and who is our enemy. Then look at the border. It's the single biggest it's the single biggest threat Americans face. Under Joe Biden, migrants are coming into.
She said first the single biggest face because she forgot how she memorized her speech. It's so.
Our country by the thousands every day. We have no idea who they are, where they end up, or what they plan to do. And let me remind you, Kamala had one job, and that was to fix the border. Now imagine her in charge of the entire country. Under Donald Trump, we didn't have the border disaster we have today, and we won't when he is president again.
And yeah, that's what she said. That building in particular had a sloped roof at its highest point, and so there's a safety factor that would be considered. We want to put someone on a slope. This slope is like that. Unbelievable. Based on results of the crumbling trial, do they now hold the Trump's shooter's parents criminally liable? I don't want to. Yeah. In theory, they could, I guess. I don't. Who the heck knows? Woodard's house above tree line. Never seen one lower than tree lines. Yeah, but it's got an angle down towards the stage. You know what I'm saying? It's angling towards the ground. So, depending on the height of the trees, it's possible it's providing coverage. I don't know. I can give him a pass in theory, my point is.
I was proud to serve America in President Trump's cabinet. And I'll tell you something you won't hear from the critics.
We don't want you back in the cabinet.
He appreciated advice and input. Americans were well served by his presidency, even if they didn't agree with him on all things. Now, to my fellow Republicans, we must not only be a unified party, we must also expand our party.
That I agree with. First thing she said in a year that I agree with.
We are so much better when we are bigger. We are stronger when we welcome people into our party who have different backgrounds and experiences. And right now, we need to be strong to save America. This is a defining moment, not only for our party, but for our country. Our fellow Americans are fearful right now. Families are suffering from inflation and wages that don't keep up with prices. Young people are being indoctrinated to think our country is racist and evil. The Jewish community is facing an obscene rise in anti-Semitism.
That's true.
Too many minorities are trapped in communities devastated by crime. Our foreign enemies win when they see Americans hate each other. They see that today, whether it's on college campuses or in a field in Butler, Pennsylvania.
She thought that would land a little harder than it did.
But we can conquer those fears with strength and unity.
Okay,
No.
I'm losing patience. Let's go on to how much time left? 2 minutes left. Oh, gosh.
The president can fix all of our problems alone. We have to do this together. America has an amazing ability to self-correct.
100% eclectic. 100%.
We have a chance to put aside our differences and focus on what unites us and strengthens our country. Let us join together as a party.
All right.
Let us come together as a people, as one country, strong and proud. Let us show our children and
It's like I feel like she's talking down to me. It's like everything about her tone. I'm just like, just stop. That's why you're making this comment. Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah. I feel as if she's talking down to me the whole time. Just hurry up.
world. That even
RNC
on
needs
our
like the
worst
off the
day,
stage
we are
music,
blessed
like the Emmys,
to live in America.
like
God bless you.
like the
Thank
Oscars.
you. God bless the United States of America.
All right. So what I learned today, Nikki endorsed Trump, so we now ignore that she's
And
a war
now,
hawk.
ladies and gentlemen.
Apparently, everyone should ignore that. I mean, like I said, let anyone speak. If it's going to help make the tent, bring more clowns into the tent. I don't care if it's some OnlyFans chick. I don't care if it's a war hawk. I don't care if it's someone who's got no personality, but people like him anyway, which is our next speaker. Let's bring everyone into the tent. Bring them all on in here. We need them for the next 4 months. Bring them all in the tent. You're not about Christian. You're not welcome to the party. We get people fired over free. She's terrible. She's so terrible. She's so terrible. Like such a neocon. The difference between Trump's philandering and Haley's adultery is that Trump didn't lean on his ex-wife's virtue to get elected. She disgusts me. I'm not even judging her on her personal dalliances.
And please
I just hate
welcome
her
the
politics.
governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Nice warm reception for RDS.
My fellow Republicans, let's send Joe Biden back to his basement and let's send Donald Trump back to the White House. Life was more affordable when Donald Trump was president. Our border was safer under the Trump administration, and our country was respected when Donald Trump was our commander-in-chief. Joe Biden has failed this nation. As a veteran, I was appalled when 13 of our service members were killed in Afghanistan due to Joe Biden's dereliction of duty. As a citizen, as a husband, and as a father, I am alarmed that the current president of the United States lacks the capability to discharge the duties of his office. Our enemies do not confine their designs to between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. We need a commander-in-chief who can lead 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. America cannot afford 4 more years of a weekend at Bernie's presidency.
So you see, I wish they would use more humor. Humor is an important tool that the left understands seemingly a lot better than the right. Like I wish that like the same line that he said there, so that we can't rely on our enemies only attacking us between 10 a.m. and whatever time they're serving the blue plate special. Instead of saying 4 p.m., like just sort of like use it as a way to just pound home that he's, belongs in a retirement home. So it's nice to see him actually inject a little humor. Humor is very powerful.
Let's be honest here. Biden is just a figurehead. He's a tool for imposing a leftist agenda on the American people. They support open borders, allowing millions and millions of illegal aliens to pour into our country and to burden our communities, but just don't send any to Martha's Vineyard, then they get really upset.
Nice.
They have unleashed progressive prosecutors across our nation who care more about coddling criminals than about protecting their own communities. They use the unelected bureaucracy to impose their will on us without our consent, and they weaponize political power to target their political opponents like they've done to our own nominee. They want to ban gas automobiles, eliminate Second Amendment rights, and impose gender ideology on everyone from our infantrymen to kindergartners. They stand for DEI, which really means division, exclusion, and indoctrination, and it is wrong.
He seems to have a little more pep in his step tonight. A little more pep in his step. It's still, it's not the 11 of Vivek, but he's got a little more pep. A little more pep. I'm liking longer hair Ron DeSantis. I'm liking it.
They mandated that you show proof of a COVID vaccine to go to a restaurant, but they oppose requiring proof of citizenship to cast a vote.
Nice. Show the hypocrisy.
They can't even define what a woman is. Now, Donald Trump stands in their way, and he stands up for America. Donald Trump has been demonized. He's been sued. He's been prosecuted, and he nearly lost his life. We cannot let him down, and we cannot let America down.
Good. I was wondering when they were really going to start pounding in on these ridiculous prosecutions and try and bankrupt him.
It is the values of this Republican Party that reflect our nation's founding principles. We believe schools should educate, not indoctrinate. We stand for parents' rights, including universal school choice. We support law and order, not rioting and disorder. We seek a strong, focused United States military, not one distracted by a social agenda. We reject entrenched political class, and we demand term limits for members of Congress.
Nice. He's doing a good job of reminding us of all the reasons that people started liking Ron DeSantis, right? I mean, I think he's doing a good job of that. It's, again, it's a very interesting thing. I stated this 2 speakers ago after I heard Amber Rose and Vivek and where their focuses were. And frankly, they're doing a very good job of leaning in on the strengths of each speaker as to what they are most known for, to sort of be inclusive here, right? So you had Amber Rose talking about the economy and how you can't, you're pissed off when you go to fill up a tank of gas. They had Vivek talking about the illegal immigration and invoking the legal immigration of his own parents and how they did it the right way, and that we accept and embrace and pleased to have legal immigration, but we have no tolerance for illegal immigration. So they used him for that. They had Nikki Haley talking about the whole war hawk thing, and there we go, doing her thing on that. Now they have him leaning in on DEI. His fights against Disney and indoctrination of children and sexualizing them. This is what they're each identifiable with. And I think that this is very strategic. I think this is intentional.
We stand for fiscal sanity, for low taxes, and for reduced debt.
It did sound a little bit
We
like
seek to reclaim the constitutional government as envisioned by our founding fathers by bringing the administrative state to heel once and for all.
I plan on doing that.
We believe that you must be a citizen in order to vote, and that photo ID should be required before casting a ballot. We stand for strong borders and believe that our nation must have a shared civic culture, and we oppose any immigration that stands apart or in contrast to our American values. We believe in the principles articulated in the Declaration of Independence that our rights come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of the Almighty, including the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you and good night. No.
Now, none of this is easy, but it can be done. For decades, my home state saw elections determined by razor-thin margins. Today, due to bold leadership, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. The left is in retreat. Freedom reigns supreme. The woke mind virus is dead, and Florida is a solid Republican state.
It really is. It is probably the most solid Republican state right now. And it really was not when Trump was running in 2016.
Now, electing Donald Trump gives us the chance to do this all across America. And we have a responsibility to step up and make it happen. We have a responsibility to preserve what George Washington called the sacred fire of liberty. This was a fire that burned in Independence Hall in 1776 when 56 men pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to establish this nation. It's a fire that burned at a cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, when our nation's first Republican president pledged this nation to a new birth of freedom. It's a fire that burned at the foot of the Berlin Wall in 1987, when our nation's 40th president stood in front of that wall and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." This is not a responsibility we should fear. It's a responsibility we should welcome. After all, if not us, who? And if not now, when? Let's make the 45th president of the United States the 47th president of the United States. Let's elect Republicans up and down the ballot, and let's heed the call of our party's nominee to fight, fight, fight for these United States. Thank you.
Nice.
God bless you.
I like
win
that.
in November. Thank you so much.
That's the best speech I've heard him give in a long time. That's the best speech I've heard him give in a long time. That's the first time I heard that. That's the best speech I've heard him give in a long time. It really was. And invoking the fight, fight, fight that Trump said right after he was shot. That's a great way to finish. That's a great way to finish. That's great. That was a very solid job by DeSantis. It really was. It really was. That's easily the best speech I've heard him give in the last year. I had a lot of issues with the way he handled the Florida action against Trump. I was very troubled by his lukewarm defense of Trump. That was a very good speech. That was a very good speech. Not talking down. This is what we need. We stand for strength and peace. It's so talking down, Nikki Haley. That was really good. His cadence and tone was really solid. Am I wrong about that? You guys agree with me on that? Due to boomers going to Florida and COVID taking out old liberals, did Ron change Florida or aging COVID change it? Considering the age demographics he was dealing with, I think he did a pretty good job. All right, a lot of you have been calling for me to pull up this speech from Madeline Brame. So let's do that. I've not heard this. I've not heard this speech. I've not heard this speech, but I've had at least 3 people tonight tell me that this woman was the best speaker of the night. So let's check it out.
Sergeant Hassan Korea, an Afghanistan war retired. Good evening, everyone. My son, Sergeant Hassan Korea, an Afghanistan war retired veteran. He received enemy fire from the Taliban, only to be murdered with a knife on the streets of New York City. The 4 assailants responsible for his death initially were facing justice, But that changed when District Attorney Alvin Bragg was elected. Suddenly, two of the homicidal maniacs responsible for my son's death had their gang assault and murder charges completely dismissed. One of them received 14 months time served. Alvin Bragg charged her with assault with a shoe. And another one was sentenced to 7 years. I later learned that Alvin Bragg often dismisses and reduces dangerous criminals. He wants to clear the jails and return violent felons onto our streets every day. The injustice was devastating for me and my family. I don't want anyone else to experience the senseless pain that many other victims across this United States of America have to live with every day. So I decided to use the voice that God gave me to be the voice for the voiceless across America. We need justice for victims, and we need accountability for prosecutors who fail in their duty.
Here, here.
Soft on crime prosecutors like Alvin Bragg in New York, Kim Foxx in Chicago, and George Gascon in Los Angeles have turned our great country and cities into war zones.
That's right. Name names. Name names.
Poor and neglected communities like mine are suffering. And who else in here is sick and tired of being sick and tired? The Democratic Party that poor minorities have been loyal to for decades, including myself, all right? They betrayed us. They stabbed us in the back.
Yep.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who claim to represent us, have abandoned us. They neglected the poor minority communities across America. But mine eyes have been opened. Just like so many other poor minorities across America. Donald Trump shares our values, love of God and family and country. He's been a victim of the same corrupt system that I have been and my family has been. He is committed to providing economic opportunities, helping those suffering from addiction with long-term inpatient drug programs, rolling back deadly bail reform policies that are getting our children killed every single day, and supporting our police. We back the NYPD. We back the blue.
This woman's a dynamo.
Back the blue. NYPD, black the blue. Trump was right when he said, they're after us. He's just standing in the way. And guess what? He always will. That's why I'm standing with him today. Let's make America safe again. And re-elect our Donald J. Trump.
Ooh, great. Great call, y'all.
Thank you, and good night.
That was phenomenal. Wow. Really phenomenal. Really phenomenal. That was really Madeline Brame. My God. She is dynamo. She was amazing. That was crazy. Wow. Wow. Because she's talking, that's the difference. Like these others are politicians who are just like, they practice like, we need to get, no, this is a woman who's like, no, I'm friggin' angry. Our country is messed up because of what Democrats did to us. That's genuine passion. It's like, finally, let's get people who are genuine. My God. Amazing. Amazing. That's what it is. Genuineness. We need more of that. More of that. Phenomenal. I don't know who Madeline Brame is, but I'm going to follow her right now. Let me see if I can find her on Twitter. My God, that was amazing. X.com. I'll find Madeline Brame here. It's interesting. When I pull up her Twitter, it doesn't look like she posted anything since July 14th. This has to be her, right? I mean, it's National Crime Victim, right? Advocate CEO Rescue Angel LLC. Doesn't look like she's been using this account since July. Wait. In the last couple of days. I'm totally following her. She probably hasn't been tweeting since. I'm going to share that out. That was phenomenal. Was that it? Was that the right? I want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Where was it? Brame Madeline. Watch one speech. Make sure you watch that. Sorry, when you're putting something on X, you sort of need to make sure that keep it as condensed as possible. Make sure. Watch one speech you want to see. Make sure you watch Dynamo. Brown and passionate deliver. I don't like the way I'm wording this. If you watch one speech, I want to make sure you watch Dynamo. You know what? Let's just. I don't even need to describe it. Just making it weaker. The more I'm writing, the worse it is. Simple. Shorter, always better. I'll give that one an explanation. Much better. All right. What else we got? Blonde was great too. We should watch her. I don't know which blonde you're referring to. We do need more voices like this. Yeah, not the rehearsed political speeches. Real people, real passion. I wish I saw that before he posted. That's better. Real people, real passion. All right. Now we go from real people, real passion to AI being herky-jerked around the world as people try to get this creature reelected. Let's do it. Let's do it. There he is, our commander-in-chief.
Mr. President, thank you for sitting down with us. There's a lot to talk about. I'd like to start with the horrible events of last weekend. It has shocked a lot of Americans. A political rally, your opponent, Donald Trump, shot in the middle of greeting his supporters. You spoke to Mr. Trump afterward. Can you give me a sense of that conversation?
Very cordial. I told him how concerned I was and wanted to make sure I knew how he was actually doing. He sounded good. He said he was fine. And he thanked me for calling him. I told him he was literally in the prayers of Jill and me.
Literally not.
And I hope his whole family was weathering this.
You were in Delaware when this happened. What was your first reaction?
The first reaction was, my God, look.
I could be next.
There's so much violence.
Not that he should be. I don't want anyone to be next.
Now, the way we talk about it, I mean, the whole notion.
Yeah, maybe when you go up there and you give speeches saying that he's like, a threat to our democracy, maybe that's not such a smart thing. Maybe that's people take you seriously, and some idiots on the left actually think that you're not full of hot garbage, and that if he's such a threat, that they need to take matters into their own hands. Do you have any accountability for that?
that there is this. There's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None. Zero. And we've reached a point where it's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about it.
What about politically persecuting through lawfare your political enemies? What about that? Is that wrong?
Example, the January 6th, the attack on the Capitol.
And Thunder?
Lester, I got in this race early on in 2020 for the 2020 race. I wasn't going to run again because I lost my son. I didn't.
No, let's hear about Bo again. Let's hear about Bo.
Until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile. It was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And it was a bystander.
That's why.
The then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides.
See, that's a lie.
Fine people on both sides.
See, you're lying about him again. He just got shot because of your terrible rhetoric, and now you're lying about him again. This was even Snopes said this is crap. But you're lying yet again because you're Joe Biden.
Nice. No excuse. Zero.
Well, let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say.
Why is he not corrected when he lies? Why are you not correcting him? We always see Trump getting corrected all the time, like people interviewing him saying, no, you're wrong. That's not true. Did anyone ever correct Biden and say that's not true? He didn't. That's not what everyone. That's been even Snopes admits that that's not true, and they're very left leaning.
Out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate.
And in case you missed my talk about this, I will say this. I think the whole thing about the claim that Biden's saying that it's time to put Trump in the bullseye is that was an implied dog whistle that someone should take a shot at him. I think that's a ridiculous read. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think anyone saw that and said that means, oh, he's telling me to go get an AR-15. That's ridiculous. I think that's insane. But if Trump had said that and someone took a shot at Biden, everybody would be saying it's because of it. Everyone would be saying it's because he said it. Because he used the term bullseye.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was what I guess I was talking about.
He was tired of getting all the flack for the debate, and he's like, "Stop focusing on me. Let's focus on Trump." And that's why he used that term. There's nothing wrong with that phrase. Let's stop demonizing basic language after the fact because people are find some way to twist it. It's stupid.
The time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range.
You said in the debate
of things that look. I'm not the guy that said I want to be a dictator on day one.
Nobody who said that.
I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election.
He refused to accept the counting in the election.
I'm not the guy who said that one accept
because there was no transparency as to how they were counting, and all of a sudden everything went very, very funky when people got behind closed door and the people who were counting it considered that they were counting against Adolf. So and they're doing it in closed rooms. So you tell me, why would you not assume that they're going? What kind of terrible people would they be if they really believe that he's such a terrible person? What kind of terrible people would they be to not try and cheat?
The outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win.
No, we love our country when there's actual due process, genuine due process.
And so the focus was on what he's saying, and I mean the idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Well, I don't think, look.
Hoisted on his own petard. He started this interview off by twisting against Trump, the whole fine people thing. Now he's hoisted on his own petard that his innocuous language is now being turned against him of using the term bullseye. This is what happens when people play games with language.
How do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real?
Nope, not real. You're the threat to democracy. You're literally trying to put your political opponents in jail and bankrupt them. So you're the threat to democracy. To the extent that America is a democracy, which it isn't, but to the extent that it is, you are the threat to that democracy. Because you're saying, I don't want someone who's a threat to my power being able to walk free. I want him thrown in prison for ridiculous charges. I want him taken off the ballot for ridiculous perspectives. You're the threat to democracy. You are the threat. People forget about what happened, the whole 14th Amendment thing, because, it went away 5 months ago. I didn't forget. You're the threat. You and your ilk are the threat to democracy. You don't want anyone to run against you. The only reason, and here's the other way he's a threat to democracy, okay? That they turn this world into a post-truth world. Because let's not forget, a decade ago, Mika Brzezinski was raving about Donald Trump as being a phenomenal human being. And today, all of a sudden, he's Adolf. Why? Why is it that the legacy media did this? Why do they portray him that way? Why do they twist everything that he says that way? Because he's a threat to their power. You're the threat. You are the one who makes America not democratic.
When a president says things like he says, do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
So when you're telling lies and he calls you out, or when you're fighting to keep our border open and he says you're allowing in people here who are scummy. That doesn't mean everyone who comes across the border illegally is scummy. But that he says that, and then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, he says anyone who's brown people are scummy or vermin or whatever word that Trump uses. How is he supposed to refer to that? His words are going to get twisted. You want to live in a post-truth world, so there you go. Live in a post-truth world.
Look, I have not engaged in that rhetoric. Now,
yes, you have.
My opponent is engaged in
that
rhetoric. He talks about...
This is exactly what I was talking about on X Spaces today. This is exactly what I was talking about. I said, you know what? The way Trump words things may be a blunt instrument, like a mallet. And I said, but all this rhetoric has been going on for 16 years. 16 years, going back to 2008. Ever since Obama came onto the scene, 16 years. You take a 20-year-old, you wonder why it is that he thinks that half the country is evil and they're being led by this guy? He's 20 years old. Since he's a 4-year-old kid, he's been told how half the country is evil. Because everything that Obama would say is like, oh, some folks, some folks are uncomfortable having a president who doesn't look like them. Some folks are not comfortable with people with immigrants whose skin might be a little darker than theirs. But they're just Americans. So they want the American dream, same as you. And that makes it so, we weren't listening to his speeches by and large, but his crowds were. And sitting there listening to him say, yeah, wow, those people are really evil racists. They're terrible human beings. So, that was your guy. This guy you signed up with. You're a terrible person.
A bloodbath if he loses, talking about how he's going to forgive all the, suspend.
Sorry, English is hard. I understand, Joey.
The sentences of all those who were arrested and sentenced to go to jail.
For extended periods of time, for ridiculous amounts, for ridiculous periods that no one has ever been sentenced for anything like those periods of time before.
Because of what happened in the Capitol. I'm not out there making fun of, remember the picture of Donald Trump when Nancy Pelosi's husband was hit with a hammer, joking about it?
This doesn't sound...
I don't know, everyone keeps bringing... I've heard this whole reference to Paul Pelosi over and over again. I don't even know what they're talking about.
Like you're turning down the heat, though. You've talked about
No. Look, what I'm turning.
Exactly. He's turning down the heat. He's turning down the heat. Basically, he's doing the exact same thing he's been doing for the last 16 years.
Turning down. We have to stop the whole notion that there are certain things that are contrary to our democracy that we're for.
Ooh, see, you're still doing it. You're the same old Joe Biden, just older.
The idea of saying that I didn't win the election when every court in the land, I don't know, 20 appeals said
No, not 20 appeals,
including this conservative Supreme Court, said we won.
No, the Supreme Court never said that. The Supreme Court didn't take the case, so they didn't say that. No.
The idea of having a loyalty pledge from all the folks who are in a Republican MAGA, not all Republicans, the MAGA Republicans.
What are you talking about, a loyalty pledge?
Saying that, no, we lost the election, inflaming the people to say,
So what can you and what will you do, at least things you can control to lower down the temperature, the rhetoric out there?
Jack Bubkiss. That's what he's going to do. Jack Bub. I'm going to introduce you to my friend Jack Bubkiss. That's what I'm going to do.
Continue to talk about the things that matter to the American.
Continue being Biden.
American public. It matters whether or not you accept the outcome of elections. It matters whether or not you, for example,
Did Hillary accept? Did Stacey Abrams accept? Hillary's still talking about how he stole the election 3 years after he won. Stop it.
Talk about how you're going to deal with the border instead of talking about people as being vermin and those things
lies
matter. That's the kind of language that is inflammatory.
Mr. President, you've been in politics a very long time, so let's speak frankly. We're all adults here. Has this shooting changed the trajectory of this race?
Ooh, see how he did shooting trajectory? How he threw he was very proud of that question when he came up with it.
I don't know, and you don't know either.
I don't know, but have you, something you've given thought to?
No,
One way to change the trajectory is that it's made Trump such a powerhouse. Nobody wants to run against him right now. This is like, why would you want to? This guy who just looked heroic when he got shot. This is like the worst time to be going against Donald Trump.
I've thought less about the trajectory of the case than two things. One, what his health is, that was secure. Number one.
You don't care at all about his health.
And number two, what happens from here on in terms of the kind of coverage that the president and vice president and former president and new vice president get in terms of, look.
He meant to say Secret Service and their failings. But all of a sudden he remembered ice cream. This is him picturing the Rocky Road Sundae.
I've never seen a circumstance where you ride through certain rural areas of the country and people have signs there, big Trump signs with middle signs saying F Biden, and a little kid standing there putting up his middle finger.
No. They say, let's go, Brandon.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that is just inflammatory and...
You're hated. You're hated, and you worked very hard to earn that hate. That's not. Is he the one doing that?
Kind of viciousness. It's a very different thing than to say, look, I really disagree with Trump's the way he takes care of taxes.
You call him an existential threat. It's the same thing. The
way he wants a $5 trillion tax cut for people.
It's tomato. That's all it is. Calling him an existential threat and calling him Adolf is the same thing as them saying F Joe Biden. It is.
Who are making a lot of money next time around. Doesn't focus on working class people.
But those are policy issues, and our history is a country that can.
You failed those people harder than anyone. You spent the last. Why is it you've been around you've been inside the Beltway for the last 60 years? Okay, I mean, you probably remember FDR, for crying out loud. FDR probably gave you your welcoming handshake when you came into office. You're sitting here saying like this is why they need you. They'll be just another 4 more years. Another 4, he'll fix everything.
Thoroughly hash out those issues.
And if you notice, what do I talk about with him? The policy issues where he's dividing the country. The policy issues.
Oh, that's not at all. You just spent the first 7 minutes of this talking about his rhetoric.
Relate to democracy.
Another question, if I can, about Saturday. Of course, the former president was wounded. One of his supporters died. A couple more people were seriously injured. Was this a massive security failure?
I have had 2 meetings in the Situation Room with all the intelligence communities, the FBI, Secret Service, et cetera, and I've asked for a totally independent analysis, and we'll see what happens when that comes back.
When will it come back? Because this is something that should take weeks, not months. We should know the answer to this within weeks, not months.
Do you have confidence in the Secret Service? Do you feel safe?
I feel safe with the Secret Service, but look, and you saw.
But he doesn't want his political enemies to feel safe. That's for sure. That's why they denied to RFK Jr. for all those for like the last year.
What we did see was the Secret Service who responded risked their lives in responding. They're ready to give their lives to the president. The question is,
that's the remedy. After there's been abysmal failure, after you've basically been like a rejected, after you had like an abortion type of work in securing the area. That's not what Secret Service's primary function is. Their primary function is to make sure no one can get a shot off, not how to secure him in that moment that the guy is that they're under fire.
Should they have anticipated what happened? Should they have done what they needed to do to prevent this from happening? That's a question that's an open question.
Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Well, I've heard from them.
But have you heard from her publicly?
Not a him. It's a her.
Publicly. I've sat down in a Situation Room downstairs with the Secret Service, the FBI, the national security agencies, the Homeland Security, all the major elements. And there's 2 pieces of this too. And it's not an excuse, it's just an explanation. There's a major piece of this relates to domestic, local law enforcement. They play a large role.
Oh, of course.
And so there's
not our department. This is on the Butler police. How dare the Butler police? We know that Iran is trying to see him dead. The Butler police should fend off Iran. That's what they should be doing.
It's a different competent. I'm not saying they weren't competent either. I'm just saying.
Who was the incompetent one?
It's a complicated process.
It's very complicated.
And what has changed, by the way, Lester, is you know me. I like to meet people. I like to walk out, shake hands, move, look at people in the eye, see what they're thinking. It's really curtailed that ability on my part and everybody's part. And so, because there's a heightened notion that when you say there's nothing wrong with going to the Capitol,
oh my
breaking
God.
in.
Here we go. Let's go back to January 6th. Let's go back 4 years. Because this is very relevant.
Threatening people, a couple cops dying.
Nope.
Hanging.
Another lie. 0 cops died because of January 6th. 0. Liar.
Putting up a noose, a gallows for the former vice president.
The gallows were like literally this big. This big. They were meant to hang Mini Pence. In case they came across Mini Pence, they were going to hang him. Idiots. Gaslighting, liar.
And somehow then you say you're going to forgive people for that. You're going to pardon them.
Yeah.
That was just a normal response.
You old fart. You terrible human being. Just gaslight, and then claim the other guy lies all the time.
I have my entire career voted against and railed against and moved against the idea of violence is never appropriate. Never in politics.
Yeah, I have concerns that it's meant to drive us into a war with Iran also. I have concerns about that.
All right, I want to ask you about some other developing news today, if I can. Judge Cannon dismissed the documents case, as you may have heard, in Mar-a-Lago.
Which makes you question the whole raid that went into effect because of Jack Smith, who had no authority to push forward on it. Was he involved in the raid? I'm not sure. That might have been Merrick Garland himself. I don't want to speak out of turn. I could be mistaken on that. I'm going to retract that until I look that up.
First, get your reaction to that.
I'm not surprised. It comes from the
stupid case.
Immunity decision in the Supreme Court.
Nope. Nothing to do with the immunity decision. Zero. I mean, okay, technically Clarence Thomas put in a concurrence, but nothing about that decision had any legal bearing on the reason that this case was dismissed. It's like this guy. Now you wonder how he finished like number 90 out of 94 when he went to law school. There you go. Went to, where do you go? Syracuse. That's how you finished 90 out of 94.
Ruled on, and Clarence Thomas in his dissent said that
that's accurate.
That independent prosecutors appointed by.
All right, so that part he got right.
The Attorney General aren't legit.
Yep, he did say that. That's accurate.
That's the basis on which this judge moved to dismiss.
Mm-hmm.
And
I cursed Clarence Thomas every night. Is what he wants to say. He was like, "F you, Clarence. F you." And I will admit this. I'm going to give you intellectual integrity. I called it when I read it, that when he wrote that, he did everything but write, "Dear Judge Eileen Cannon." That was the only part that he left out that would have made it more obvious he was talking to this judge to dismiss this case. It's true. That's true. And I'll further admit that it was very unusual what he did. And arguably, stepping a little bit over what Supreme Court is supposed to do. If I was on the other side, I would have been furious by that dissent. Furious. Okay? If you hear a lefty screaming about Clarence Thomas's, not dissent, his concurrence. He said dissent. He meant concurrence. I'll let him pass on that. I was echoing him when I just used that term. It was his concurrence. His concurrence, the reason I would be furious is because the court is supposed to only address the issues that are raised as questions of law that are presented to the court. You're not supposed to be going off into like, oh, and here's a side topic that has nothing to do with the questions we're supposed to be answering, that I'm just going to sit here spending 10 pages expounding on my personal thoughts about this issue. That's why no one else latched on with him. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, and by the way, I just want to mention, while we're talking here about immunity and this whole question of whether or not he has immunity, let's start focusing on the role of Jack Smith. What does that have to do with immunity? Anything? Anything to do with the immunity at all? Nope. Nope. Nothing at all. I just don't like Jack Smith, and I don't know why we have this case here. But it's not something that a justice is supposed to be doing. And if I saw, Kagan or Sotomayor or Jackson, writing a dissent or concurrence that launched off into topics completely unrelated to the questions presented, I would be blistering. I would be screaming like a lunatic about how this justice should be fired. So I don't blame them for being mad at Clarence Thomas for this. This was him really going off on a limb. I can admit it. I was going off on a limb.
But I had an independent prosecutor look at me. They spent months on my going through, and I was totally cooperative in and out of my house. And there were, I don't know, the last time in, there were like 10, 12 agents in my house for 9 hours unaccompanied, going through every single thing I had. That's appropriate.
No, it's not. Did they come in with a search warrant? You invited them in.
And they looked at me and concluded I didn't do a damn thing wrong.
No,
but
they
my
didn't.
generic point.
Robert Hur just said, look at him. Look at him. Look at him. You think you're going to get conviction against him? That's what he said. Totally guilty. Totally guilty. He's sitting here as like he's exonerated. Oh, I did nothing wrong. And liar, liar, your pants are on fire. Liar, liar.
Point is that it's the basis upon which the case was thrown out, I find specious because I don't agree with Clarence Thomas' dissent and or the
Concurrence.
Supreme Court decision on immunity.
Yeah, that immunity is going to bail your ass out in a year.
In light of this decision, the delay in the Georgia case, the Supreme Court decision on immunity, which you referenced, the former president has seen a series.
Yeah, but it's true, Thomas. But if you're a justice, you're only supposed to be addressing your perspective about the law as it relates to the questions presented. And his status as a legitimate prosecutor or not was not one of the questions presented. So it's almost like he all of a sudden just would have started weighing in on Merchant on the criminal case and saying, by the way, it's ridiculous that in New York they say that a jury can pick from any of three different crimes as a basis to find someone guilty, and that is completely unconstitutional. It's like, what? Okay, all right. Okay, it's got practically the same level of relevance where you're just like, I see what you're saying from a legitimate legal perspective, just not sure how you're talking about that here. Syracuse was your number one law school choice. Now I'm second guessing even applying there. Why did he have to go there and ruin it for me? I think he don't quote me on that. I think it was Syracuse. Which law school did Biden attend? I don't think he finished 90th. I think he finished 87 out of 94. That's my recollection. Yeah, Syracuse University. Class of 68. God, so old. Sorry for ruining that for you.
Of legal wins recently. You have actively campaigned on his legal woes. Can you do anything like that anymore?
Sure. I can talk about what I think is appropriate.
Yeah. You actually got him you handed him the primary by going after him in court.
What I think is appropriate. I think the Supreme Court made a terrible decision. I
think that you were acting unconstitutionally when you went after him. So there you go.
The justices he appointed have, in fact, been the most conservative, and
I haven't. 2 out of 3 were not very conservative.
I would argue, if you survey constitutional scholarship, they seem out of touch with what the founders intended.
Not at all. Actually, Kagan, Sotomayor, really Sotomayor and Jackson, all 3 of them. Sotomayor is the worst offender, as far as their constitutional interpretation.
Before this violent turn of events over the weekend, the talk, as you know, was about you and your future, if you should stay in the race. Your allies, James Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, have kind of put it out there that they're waiting for your decision, giving you time to make your decision. What I hear from you is that you made your decision. Are you still comfortable in that decision? Has anything changed in the last several days?
No.
What do you make of people like Nancy Pelosi, though, who seem to be of the opinion that there is a window for you to make this choice? What aren't they getting?
No one else wants it.
We knew this was going to be a close race from the moment he announced. The idea that
I'm sorry, Adrian.
We are in a situation where, if you look at all the polling data, shows a lot of different things, but there's no wide gap between us. It's essentially a toss-up race.
Essentially.
And I think one of the arguments that get made, you have the most successful presidency of any president in modern history. Maybe
Oh my gosh. When your own delusions are poisoning your mind.
Since Franklin Roosevelt passed more major legislation no one thought could get done. We're able to put together consensus. We're able to unite NATO. We're able to deal in foreign policy. Why don't you just decide to rest on those laurels? And the answer is because the job's not finished.
Do you feel like you've weathered the storm on this issue of whether you should be on the ticket or not?
Look, 14 million people voted for me to be the nominee in the Democratic Party. Okay?
Can't let
listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more about 14 million people than 335 million people.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate. Your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because
you were terrible.
I guess the question is, are you all on the same page? Are
you all in the same frame of mind that you were that night?
Seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused.
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told?
What about the 57 lies you told? There's like a different Heinz ketchup variety for every lie you told.
Where are you? Where are this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that?
I will say this. Lester's asking some tough questions. I credit him. I want to give credit where credit is due. Even though it's a new thing because they want him to step down, that they're actually asking him hard questions. But these are hard questions. These are not softballs.
28 times it's confirmed he lied.
I want to see these 28 times. Look at that anger, this crazy lunatic man. Look at his face. Look at his face. He looks like a demon. The black eyes, the angry scowl. He's not a nice man. He's not a nice man. This is the dark Biden. Look at dark Biden right here. There's dark Biden.
Lied in that debate. I had a bad night. I wasn't feeling well at all. And I had been, without it making, I screwed up.
You are making excuses.
But
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same.
I'd have to see I was there. I'd have to see it. I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told?
Because he didn't. He didn't. What were those lies? What were those lies? I can point to lies you told. Like stuff like very fine people. That was a lie. You repeated several of them tonight.
Well, I haven't heard anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
No, you haven't.
We'll provide you with them.
God love you.
He looks like a lunatic. Maybe this was endearing before he looked so weathered. Oh my God, he looks freaky. Am I the only one? He looks freaky.
Okay. President Obama put out a statement after the debate, but should he?
Does Judge Cannon's ruling retroactively make the FBI raid illegal? And if so, do you have any qualified immunity? Okay, so this is. That's a very complex $5 question. Okay, let's break it down. First and foremost, as I was recollecting, I vaguely recall that Merrick Garland was the one who was responsible for the raid. If Merrick Garland was responsible for the raid, then the raid was completely legal. The issue that Judge Cannon raised was with the legitimacy of Jack Smith's appointment. I don't know that he was involved at the stage that the raid came down. So, if he was not involved in the raid, then obviously your question's not going to be relevant. Let's assume that he was involved in the raid. Would that retroactively make the FBI raid illegal? When you say illegal, I'm not sure what you're asking. For criminal perspectives or as far as civil? Because there's a difference The reason there's a difference is because when there's mistake, which is based on something that facially looks good but happens to be flawed legally. So there's definitely not going to be criminal liability that would attach. There could be civil penalty that would attach for an accident or mistake based on something that appeared to have color of law at the time that you were acting. So, and even then you have to establish, I think you would have to establish that they had reason to know that there were issues with that color of law. And I don't think retroactively you would probably even have civil liability. I don't think you would succeed in a civil liability. In other words, let's say he wanted to sue the FBI saying, you acted improperly and violated my civil rights by acting upon the orders of Jack Smith. And now Jack Smith was acting without having actual authority. So assuming that they had not engaged in recklessness and relying on the legitimacy of Jack Smith's appointment, which they could make a strong case that there was certainly no recklessness. I mean, to this day in Washington, his authority is still recognized. So I think that case would likely struggle to succeed. Qualified immunity, that would relate to the individual actors rather than the agency itself, and you'd probably be going after the agency itself. So I don't think qualified immunity would really come up as an issue at all. That's my overall perspective on it. What a complex question. Thank you so much for that. Democrat Party, he looks scary. He looks freaky. Joey is at maximum dose of adrenochrome. It ain't working anymore. That's probably, I really started to question whether some of the drugs that they're using in his cocktail of narcotics or whatever they're feeding him to pump him full of juice and try and get him across the finish line. I do question their effectiveness after a while.
He and Michelle Obama be doing more to express their confidence.
I love you.
Okay. President Obama put out a statement after the debate, but should he and Michelle Obama be doing more to express their confidence in you?
No, they're helping me. They've helped me from the beginning. This is my job to get this done.
Have you talked to him recently about this?
I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks.
Have you?
That was like the most leadership answer I've heard him give to an interview question in a long time. Hey, buck stops here. Now, what's he going to do? He's going to throw Obama under the bus? I don't think he will. So it's a political answer also, but still, got to give credit where credit's due. It's a strong answer.
You talked to him since this issue came to light, since the debate?
I don't think I may have. I don't think so.
Who do you listen to on deeply personal?
You're asking me to remember stuff that's gone on over the last 10 days? Are you kidding me? Did you see me in the debate? I couldn't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. You want me to think back over the last 10 days?
Issues like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not.
Decisions whether to bring up race or not.
Me. Look.
Wait, what? So you don't listen to anyone? Oh, okay, that sounds helpful.
Since the debate?
I don't think I may have. I don't think so.
Who do you listen to on deeply personal issues like the decisions whether to stay in the race or not?
Me. Look, I've been doing this a long time.
You don't say.
The idea that I'm the old guy, I am. I'm old. But I'm only 3 years older than Trump, number one. And number two, my mental acuity has been pretty damn good. I've gotten more done than any president has in a long, long time in 3.5 years.
What? What the hell have you gotten done? What? What have you? He keeps saying this as if like that makes it true. What have you gotten done other than sending money to Ukraine?
So I'm willing to be judged on that. I understand. I understand why people say, God, he's 81 years old. Whoa. What's he going to be when he's 83 years old or 84 years old? It's a legitimate question to ask.
I want to ask you about just shortly before you and I sat down, former President Trump named his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance. What does that tell you, his qualities? What does that tell you about former President Trump's values in terms of who he will surround himself with? in a next administration should he win?
Well, it's not unusual. He's going to surround himself with people who agree completely with him. Have a voting record. I support him.
Okay.
Even though if you go back and listen to those things that J.D. Vance said about Trump.
Well, he said some things about you, yeah.
Oh, no, well, he said something about me, but see what he said about Trump. What's with you guys? Come on, man. Look, the point I'm making is...
Does he think that "Come On, Man" is still working? Is that still working for you? I think that's worn off with the drugs. I think that's having the same effect as the drugs at this point. Come on, man.
That J.D. Vance has adopted the same policies, no exceptions on abortion, making sure that he supports the new $5 trillion tax cut that Trump wants to give in the next administration, signing on to the whole notion of whether or not we're going to, he says there's no climate change happening. I mean, he signed on to the Trump agenda, which he should if he's running with Trump.
Mr. Trump has said he's giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Basically, the idea of engaging in another debate.
We're going to have another debate.
Yeah, you're going to have one in September that's on the books. Would you be open to doing one in the next few weeks?
I'm going to debate him when we agreed to debate, and I'm going to debate him in September.
But if the opportunity came up to do one between now and then, is there a sense of wanting to get back on the horse?
I'm on the horse. Where have you been? I've done.
Yes, I don't want you debating him before September. I want it to be too late for anyone else to step in.
And 22 major events, met thousands of people, overwhelming crowds, a lot happening. I'm on the horse. What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people that I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need notes, I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all. And I stood there when NATO was in town. I stood there for an hour and answered questions.
Ooh.
If you were to continue to run and be officially nominated, what happens if you have another episode like we saw during the debate?
What happens if another?
Yeah, what happens if you have another performance on that par?
Then we lose
on that level.
I don't plan on having another performance on that level.
All right.
I can't even say the words. When the drugs wear off, the slurring gets harder.
Mr. President, it's always good to talk to you, good to see you. Thank you for making some time for us.
Sometimes come and talk to me about what we should be talking about.
All right.
Okay, the issues.
Give me a softball.
Always happy to talk.
Thanks for watching.
That was actually a pretty good interview. Not going to kid you. I'm glad I watched it. That was a good interview. If you could please drop a comment. Tell me, I'm curious your thoughts. Who do you think was the best political speaker tonight? I'm sure you're going to say Madeline Brame was the best speaker. I'm pretty sure you're going to say that. But from the names that people had heard of before tonight, you can include Amber Rose in there. Who do you think was the best one? You think it was DeSantis? Was it Vivek? Maybe some of you think Nikki. I don't know. But yeah. Let me know. Drop your thoughts down below. Make sure that you follow me on Locals, goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com. That's my show for tonight. I will see you all tomorrow. Till then, make sure that no matter how they try pitching it to you, they might make it look like candy. They may be like, oh, here's some candy. Hey, little girl, come in the van. I got some candy for you. Come on, I got some candy for you. Come on. Don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Sorry for creeping some of you out. I apologize for that. I thought it was going to be funny. But I realized that when I was doing it, I was like, that sounds really terrible. That sounds awful. Oh my God, that was terrible. The little house outside the grocery store, one more quarter channel. Sorry about that. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, good night, you all. And as always, Godspeed.